Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Dinosaur and the Dude, the only podcast in the fucking world with the shittiest audio with the most amazing content. Love that you all are listening to us, and we really appreciate it. So sit back and relax as we start this episode. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Before we get started, I want to just let you all know this is Conversation with Gamers Part 2, and with all of our conversations, there are no promos, so it's just going to be a straight conversation from beginning to end. And the only time you're going to, this is the only break that you have in it is promoting anything, if you consider it a promotion. But in any case, um, we're bringing back Calamity Gal and Maniac Gecko from the first edition in this conversation, and we added a couple other, well, not more than a couple, of gamers. Yeah, CC, Anubis, and Dirty Hillbilly. We had another gamer that was going to join us, but we had technical difficulties with that connection. Also, we ended up losing CC and Anubis very early in the conversation because of technical difficulties too. Hopefully, we'll bring them back. And if we do another session, or maybe we do a special one, for a select audience. Um, as always, thank you. We'll be, like I said, it'll be a straight conversation. And if you want to find anything about the dinosaur and the dude, best way to do that is to go to thedinosaurandthedude.com, where you can find all of our merch, content, videos, our vibes. If you're just wanting to listen to some nice little grooves and some ASMR while you're working out or studying or doing whatever it is you do throughout your day, go check us out at thedinosaurandthedude.com. We've been kicking it really hard on social media and especially on YouTube, uploading a lot of new videos and our episodes. But then we also are full steam ahead launching our Patreon page. You can find us on Patreon at The Dinosaur and the Dude Uncensored. That is something that we're building out. Which this is, it's there, but we're trying to build it out with the content, trying to flesh out all the content in there. So we're going to put a lot of the things that you don't hear in regular episodes. So you're going to hear some of the cuts, the bloopers, a lot of the uncensored content. So you'll probably get a whole slew of episodes that don't have any of the censoring and edits that we have to do with, say, YouTube and other platforms that have content sensitive material. So we'll be fleshing that out as we go. And so check it out, become a member so you can already get that. Not only will you have that access to the content like that, but also access to, can I say this right? Access to discounts that are available to be used in our store. Yeah, big shit happening over there. All right. Thanks again for listening. Can't say thank you enough. Uh, enjoy this episode. It's pretty fucking amazing.
Here, this is
And
an open space. I mean, we pretty much get as fucking raw as we can.
yeah, within reason.
Woo!
And we just,
Hell yeah!
yeah, of course. All right.
Hillbilly.
Well, there we go. So, without further ado, then let's just try and see if we can make this the best, most enticing, riveting dumpster fire ever. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of The Dinosaur and the Dude. And for all of you that just now joining us in for the first time, she's the dinosaur
That's me.
and I'm the dude. And you are all of you. And this is part two of it's a floating title, but basically it's like we we convinced a bunch of gamers to get together and discuss
And
gaming
not
and
game.
in games and how people can get game and all the game. So we what quadrupled down, I think. Yeah, part one was just two. Now we've got like
Yeah, we're total hoes at this
We're
point.
yeah, now we got like fucking 8, I think. I can't count. But in any case, the screen is lit with just a bunch of colors and letters. So I'm gonna go around and let everybody introduce themselves. But before we do that, here's the disclaimer because I'm sure some shit's gonna be said tonight that I just really don't want to go back and have to
Be
edit.
liable for.
Right, right.
I'm
You
broke,
said
bitch.
you said if I put this program in my computer, it's gonna work right. No, no, fuck you.
Incorrect.
Okay, everyone, before we get started into this episode, uh, whatever we might be talking about might be triggering. So here's the warning. Just be mindful of what we are saying is definitely something that we're not trying to trigger you on, but just some of the topics might be a little iffy in regards to,
Sensitive,
yeah, exactly. That's the word I was trying to say.
fragile, delicate.
Yeah, and we're not saying that you are. It's just that some of the content might
No,
trigger somebody in a certain
it's
way.
offensive.
We
We
do
get
talk
it.
about we talk about different things that happen to people that could be assaults or somebody could be killed or
We do
chased
try to give
or
trigger warnings, though. So I'll give you
yeah,
the quick disclaimer.
yeah. So
Um,
here's the yeah. So yeah, you all listen to her. The dinosaur is going to go over the disclaimer because I can't because I don't give a fuck. She cares way more. She cares way more than I do, even though she'll say the opposite. So you all
that's
just
true.
listen to the disclaimer. It's here for your benefit. Here's the dinosaur. Also, everything that we're saying in our episodes, unless we state otherwise, is all for entertainment. And there's no there's nothing that we're giving away as advice or of a matter of fact that you should go out in the world and do your own thing. We're basically saying we're not responsible for whatever fuck ups you experience after listening to us and trying to do whatever the fuck we're talking about. That's on you. Okay. All right. Now she'll finish out the rest of the disclaimer.
Um, we don't know shit, and we don't try to say that we know shit. We like the internet, and it likes us, so we play together sometimes. But don't take anything that we say to heart. Don't take it as the gospel. Don't take it as an expert of any kind because we don't know shit. We just like to hang out and with y'all and talk about goofy shit or funny shit or scary shit or real shit or whatever shit. And
It's just all shit. Yeah.
it's all shit with the audio shit, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty much
Yeah.
that's our moniker.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if we know that we're going to offend you, so we get that. At some point we will offend somebody, and if we do, we're sorry. Find another podcast. Not that we
Mm-hmm.
don't want you here. It's just that if we're going to be in the habit of offending you, then we don't want to hurt your feelings. So, um,
Yeah.
but if you're not 18, please don't listen to this.
Mm.
And I think that that might be it.
All right. So let's do it. I'm just gonna go for the first one that's on my screen that I can see. Anubis, unmute yourself and please let us know everything there is about us that will not, get us on a watch list and or a felony.
If we leave here and one of us is registered with the state, I'm gonna be pissed.
Right, please. Yeah,
So I guess don't lead with the anarchist cookbook. Got it.
yeah, yeah. Even yeah, yeah.
All right. So I'm Anubis. I am ill prepared. That's about all
That's
I
okay.
know.
What do you
Welcome to
play?
the club. Me too. Every week.
What do you play?
I play all sorts of different games lately. I've been playing Coral Island.
Okay.
Um,
Is it typically RPG or typically?
it's
Um,
kind of like like a farming simulator game.
Nice.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that's right up Dinosaur's alley. She's she's really into. She's very interested in games that involve a high amount of farming.
If
But
we
we'll
can make
get
a
it.
butch crafting video
Yeah,
game, that would be
yeah.
fucking amazing.
But for clarity, for you, Dinosaur, especially, farming is a term in regards to that it's not necessarily with the typical I have a farm and I'm growing crops, even though
Oh
it can
shit.
allude to
Well, I
that.
want to do that.
Right. Farming can be pretty much anything in regards to like you're getting mats for whatever. So it could be ore, it could be fish, it could be silk. You're gathering things, you're farming
Okay.
in that regard. So farming is a term that can differ from game to game, but it typically means getting a crop of something.
Okay. And just so y'all know, I don't game
Yeah,
because I get like spastic and start screaming. If, just
right,
anything. It's bad.
right.
It's ugly. Clem can attest to it.
Yes. So that's next. All right,
Well, hold
Anubis,
on
thank
just a
you.
second for Anubis. Who do you know in the group?
Oh,
Everybody?
Wait, me? Or,
Yes.
yeah.
Anubis. Yeah.
I know Calamity. I've met Maniac. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure I met Jared.
Oh, okay.
I
Yep.
think. Yeah, yeah. And then Cece, who I'm not sure what's going on with her. She seems to have dropped out
Hmm.
of the call for right now. But yeah, I think I've been introduced to almost everyone except for you two.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well, good to
okay.
meet you.
Hello.
That's okay. That's all right. I appreciate it.
I hope she's okay.
Yeah, it's just experiencing minor technical
Back
issues.
issue.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
trust, we know all about that. Listen to our first 10 episodes. You'll understand.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go ahead and mute and see.
Okay. Calamity, I'll again regale us with everything about you. In gaming,
Ah,
that is. In gaming.
of course, of course. Stay focused. Well, first of all, thank
Yeah,
you
right.
guys for having us on. I think this is awesome for spotlighting this. So thank you for the time. And
Yeah.
hey, friends, how's it going? I'm glad that you guys got to join. So, to give a rundown of the basic games that I play, usually it's a first person
Hmm.
shooter, Call of Duty,
Hmm.
Black Ops.
Hmm.
I did a little Conan for a while, Fortnite, a little driving games sometimes in Forza. But I've been playing a whole lot of Vigor, and my throwback is always Division 1 and Division 2. Love that. It's a beautiful game. So mostly first person shooters. I occasionally play a little PGA and fishing games, but other than that,
Hmm.
I'm pretty focused on Vigor most of the time.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'm gonna circle back around on the other side. Uh, Maniac Echo, please refresh us on everything. Since this is part two, we might have some people that didn't listen to part one.
Okay.
What?
So yeah, with the gaming, it's well, like what Calamity said. That's how I met just about everybody here was through Vigor. A lot of first person shooters, but also a lot of like role playing games, Skyrim, all the Fallout series. Also, really enjoy a lot of the historical games like Assassin's Creed. Being able to walk downtown like colonial America or ancient Greece, just and
What?
I'm a huge history nerd, so that's just
That's a
yeah.
thing?
Oh yeah,
That's so cool.
oh yeah. Like, so many hours just walking down those streets and going. So this is what it was like because those guys put a lot of research
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, I heard they put quite a bit in there. They side note, just complete side note, didn't it at one point what they did in that game helped finish off
The Notre Dame,
huh?
the cathedral in France that burnt a few years ago. Yeah,
Right. Because it
because they
burned
so
or something like that.
yeah, it caught fire. They had so heavily documented the interior and the exterior with thousands and thousands of photographs and videos that they were
Hmm.
able to supply it with a full 3D render to the restoration team.
That's amazing.
So they were able
Right.
to rebuild everything. And there was like when the timber framers were going in, they're like, this section, because of the age and the pressure from this wall, these beams had a curve that did this. We need you,
Hmm.
instead of building straight beams, to build the curve into it. And the guy's like, we've never done that before, but we will.
Yeah, that's interesting because it kind of branches off into, well, I'm sure we'll go into later how there's aspects of gaming that affects things so detached from gaming that it's a weird blend of those two practices and realities and just types of people who would have thought that because gaming has gotten to the point where it's so precise in architecture and rendering like that it can basically assist people to rebuild something that was destroyed, and in that case, a fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for reintroducing yourself. All right, we're going to move on to our next guest is Hillbilly, right?
Yeah, it's Dirty
I'm so
Hillbilly
sorry
1.
you said that like
Yeah.
hillbilly. Like, can I say that?
I messed that up in the beginning. I didn't really realize what name to put in there, but yeah, Dirty
No, that's
Hillbilly
good.
1. Yeah,
I knew
I've
it was
played with.
more than Hillbilly.
Huh?
I knew it was more than Hillbilly.
Yeah, that's just what everybody calls me. That or just Dirty.
Okay, cool. But good to
I
know.
mean, you can pretty much call me whatever, just not late for supper.
No, I'm good. It's good to know I got options: dirty
Yeah.
or hillbilly, or dirty
Yeah,
hillbilly. Okay.
plenty of options there.
Yeah.
But I've played with everybody here, at least on Vigor, and then me and Maniac started kind of dabbling with another game for a minute. We haven't gotten far into playing it, but we're gonna probably do some more grinding sometime. But I've been gaming for a long time, probably 30 years now.
Okay.
My my mom actually is the one who got me into gaming back in the day.
Wow, really?
Yeah, she was pretty hardcore. I can remember the times of getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. She'd be sitting cross-legged on the front room floor playing The Adventures of Zelda: Link to the
That's so
Past
badass.
on NES with a whole
Okay.
thermos full of coffee. So we kind of got into that, and that's where our big bond. And she kind of got me hooked on it, and so I think I carry on playing for her since she passed. And I
Oh,
think it's just I just tend to play a lot of fantasy games because that was her thing, and
I think too.
I just kind of got addicted to that. But
I love this.
I like the first person shooters as well. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not super fast at picking up things sometimes, so Call of Duty is definitely not one of the games I play. But I dabble with Vigor, and I do pretty decent on occasions. But in the end all, probably I've been playing the whole Fallout franchise since '99.
Mm-hmm.
So
Get
I've
it?
played everything minus tactics because I can never get it to work. But I've played every one that they've got, including the Dark Horse of the Family, Black Sheep, Brotherhood of Steel on PS2, which was trash, but it was still a fun game. Uh, but yeah, a lot of Fallout franchise. I just love it. I've played it more times than I probably care to amount or even tell the amount of hours I have into it and the different builds I've made. Some I've followed and others I created on my own. A lot of Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
Was really big into the Dragon Age franchise as well. So looking forward to the new one coming out soon. But a lot kind of like Maniac, I mean, I really like the history games too. I played a lot of Assassin's Creed because I do love history and seeing kind of, how things looked in that period of time and just kind of the whole gameplay aspect of it kind of makes it fun because it was very hyper realistic and I appreciated that for the most part, except for maybe all the parkour, but it's possible.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I just kind of like the game. That's kind of my thing. I just kind of that's how I relax and kind of let the day's stresses kind of melt away, and that's just what I do.
Yeah.
Word.
Well, I mean, we know Dinosaur doesn't play any games because,
No, I
like
don't
you
play no
said,
fucking games. You understand me? Not one game do I play. I don't play at all.
yeah,
Okay, y'all need to know that. I
yeah,
am so fucking
yeah.
serious all the time.
So that's the bread and the sandwich here. So you've got Dinosaur that has no love for gaming or experience with
No, I
it.
love it. I want to. I just want to be good at it. I just
The right
like get
kind of.
epileptic whenever I'm.
Yeah, that's the right kind. We don't want that. And then on the other side, you got me. I've played games. I don't know for how long, but stretching across first person shooter, which like what you were saying, Hillbilly, it's not I'm good with some, but there are just some people that you're like, okay, no, I can't. I'll be support, but I will not be the one leading the board here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so a lot of MMORPGs and sci-fi and fantasy, and I'll try pretty much a variety of games. And it got to the point where I started beta testing games, and have even been invited to different studios to do their in-house testing of games. Not to brag or anything, but just to give some connectivity and just let you all know, okay, this is my background in gaming, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I mean it's like a little bit of a. This is the range of it, starting from Dinosaur to me, and I guess it gets down to get into our first bit of the conversation, but I don't want to see if CC's going to come
Wait,
back.
we didn't. We've got one more person that needs. No, she's
I
gone.
know Anubis and CC are now out.
Oh, no.
Hey, there's actually two people trying to join. Spencer's trying to join, and Cece says she can't get her Bluetooth to work. Can she join on with?
Anubis,
Where to?
yeah,
Oh,
Anubis, you
yeah,
can
totally.
join. Yeah, and then Spencer, I thought I sent him an invite. Let me double check.
It says he cannot join with his phone.
Right. He
I
sent
had
that in the
to.
email.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah.
Awkward.
I mean,
That sucks.
look at our nope. Not a plug. I'm just saying. Listen to our most latest episode. Phones are no bueno.
Right. Poor
Phones are okay, but
Jane.
Jesus.
Poor Jane.
Um,
We had a conversation with this lady. She was she's
on the
an
phone.
educator,
Yeah, she's
and
on the phone too. I don't know how to
yeah,
get
she
him.
was on her phone too, and she was having a really hard time.
I don't know how to get. Yeah, if we send an invite out and he's trying to do it over his phone, it's really nothing. We're operating within the confines of the studio. Like we can't do it.
I understand.
Yeah, we can't even do it. We just recently learned about the iOS, and so that's why I put it in the email because we just learned about that.
I think that we learned that when we were live with her, right?
Yeah. It was
Yeah, that
because
was
of
super
that. I
fun.
looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
I
great."
was like, "Oh, hey, Jane, welcome to the shit show."
That'd have
Because
been good to know.
we have no fucking idea what we're doing over here. So
It's
So
one of those
just
things
real
that
quick,
yeah.
just real quick, I tried to tell Cece that she could join on her husband, but I see her husband's dropped off now.
Yeah, at first I thought he dropped off to help her,
Yeah, she
but
says she cannot get her Bluetooth to work, and so it wasn't picking up a mic.
tell her that they can share a mic.
That's what I said, but she
Oh,
hasn't.
okay, got you.
yeah, she just got that
Okay,
mic too.
that
I guess
sucks
we're down
bad.
3 people.
Okay,
All
well,
right,
it's okay. I mean,
so
I hate it, but
that means it's up to the three of you to carry
to
the
make it
load.
shine.
That's right. What I was going to ask is, when you're into gaming, and just speaking in relation to what I was just talking about myself, do you get to the point where you feel like, what more can I contribute? For me, that's what got me into doing beta testing and getting with gaming companies to see what else could be done. Because it's kind of one of those things for me. Is like I like to um, contribute as much as I can. Like, hey, I'm already playing games, so if you want me to check out your game and let you know, hey, dig this aspect or not. Have either of you gotten to a point where you've done that or thought of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt the urge to want to like do some testing and just be able to kind of be a soundboard and just like I look at a lot of different aspects of games and the stylings of them, no matter
Mm-hmm.
if it's art or if it's the way the customization sets up or
Mm-hmm.
even just the standard gameplay. And I'm like, I see a lot of games that have one or two good things. And if you were to take those two good things and add them to another one that had another two good things, and then all of a sudden you have this great, it'd be the first for a game that could ever be created. And
Right.
I've always wanted to do testing and, just do theory crafting with it all and just kind of mess around with things and just kind of be able to talk to studios, no matter if they're the real big studios or even smaller studios helping out, just kind of
Hmm.
just giving ideas and feedback. After just playing so many different games over the years on different platforms, and I think there's a tendency that with a lot of these companies, they just kind of get into one type of thing, and they
Hmm.
don't really ever fix things completely. They'll update it, but they don't ever like fix different mechanics. And I think it'd
Right.
be nice to be able to actually like speak to somebody that would actually like hear what you're saying. I mean, I don't expect everything to just be changed within 6 months. I know it's a process to build a game, but there's
Right.
a lot of aspects of games I think that turn people off of playing them. It's
Hmm.
fun. It's kind of like a shiny toy in the beginning, and then it just kind of like fades off because, well, they see things that need to be fixed, they don't get fixed, and you voice your opinion, and it just kind of gets ignored. So I think the
Hmm.
testing aspect would be pretty enjoyable to actually have access to somebody that you can talk to that would actually maybe try to implement some of the ideas and fixes for things, and then to keep everything running smoother for people that are avid gamers.
Right.
Good thoughts, Hillbilly.
Yeah. No, no, I think that that was one of the things that we had touched on, and I know I had it in the forum in regards to gaming getting to a level where it's becoming a little bit static. And I know with Calamity and Maniac, we touched on this in the previous episode. I'm probably going to say that way too much this episode too, but we touched on it previously, and it was one of those things I would love to expound upon with other people. But I think, Hillbilly, to what you were saying is a lot of that in in that regard of what I was considering as well. It's like you get so I think a lot of gaming companies get so caught up in the formula that
Yeah,
this game got
yeah, it just works.
yeah,
I get
right,
it.
right. Yeah, we
Yeah,
sold X amount with this game. So let's do it again with
but I think, well, like with what you're saying though, like I mean, yeah, that formula is great, and there's nothing wrong with it because there are a lot of these games and these
Mhm,
studios have great formulas. I'm like, but you have people like I look at kind of like this, like take say like Skyrim and Fallout for instance. This is an easy
mhm.
one to do. Like the modding community, like how they've improved those games
Well, yeah,
tenfold.
yeah,
And I'm like, and now they're starting to kind of implement more of that, and they're trying to bring some of the same guys in. But I'm like, you want to make a quality game. I'm like, you hire these guys that came in here and modded your game after everything, and they made it better. I'm like, those are the people you want as employees.
hmm, yeah,
Those are the guys and the girls that are out there, and they're working tired, and they're doing it for free to make
yeah,
a game they love better. And I think that's a huge thing, and I think that needs to be taken more advantage of, not
yeah,
necessarily of, well, we'll just make a subpar game and let someone fix it. No, build the right game that is going to get people excited, and I'm like, you're going to make tons of money hand over fist.
right, yeah,
And you're building a franchise that's going to be even bigger than the franchise already was, and you're just going to do nothing but just make money. You're basically opening your own printing press.
right. Well, remind me at the end of this, and I'll make sure you guys get like the places that I've gone to and gotten beta testing. So if you guys can get beta testing out of it, then great. Love for you all to get your hand at it because I've been. I think my last one, I went to they had it where it was beta, but it was on. You had to come to their office, and so we were like
No,
in there, and it's like, okay, here's the NDA, sign,
yeah,
sit
I would be
here.
like, I have to wear pants. What? No,
Yeah,
I'm out.
right,
I'm
right.
really
Yeah.
out.
Wait, you want me to play a game in not my normal gaming attire? How dare
you
Not
you?
mean
naked? Okay,
you mean
whatever.
I can't drink a beer while I'm playing? Oh, that's trash.
Fucking
Time to
Right?
that's
shoes?
gaming.
Fucking shoes? You want me to put on shoes?
Shoes? No.
So yeah, but it was interesting to what you're saying though. I'm in there and it's a group of us and it had us really isolated. Like we're next to each other, but not like I couldn't see what was on another person's screen and vice versa. We all might be sitting together, but you're playing one aspect of the game, I'm playing another, or we or two people might be in the same on the same playing field, but the other two aren't. Um, you, Calamity has the superpower, and Dinosaur has nothing. So
It's
everybody's
true.
experiencing the game from different points of view, but they're still interacting with the same UI, and trying to see how people, utilize it. But it was interesting when we had our sit arounds and people started talking about it. It was like, I'm just going, hey, so this aspect where you're going, why would you want a player to do this? Because it seems so canned, and it's like, okay, and then taking notes, and then this other person, I just really liked her dress, and I thought it was amazing. I was like, okay, all right, cool. You like the
Mhm.
That would be
dress.
me.
You like the dress.
Hmm.
Got to figure out how to get this to be something that somebody really wants to play. Um, because to your point, Hillbilly, you got people out there that will mod a game to hell, and it'd be just awesome. You're like, why
What
wasn't
does
this?
that mean?
Modify
Uh,
I'm
it.
so
Like
sorry.
yes.
to
Yeah, I
take
know,
like
but modify it.
yeah, to
How?
like so like a game comes out, a game's never fully polished.
Hmm.
There's always gonna be bugs and stuff like that, and glitches and kind of hacks and stuff like that. And they go in and they fix those issues to the best of their ability, obviously,
Right.
or they create new things. Usually, I mean the better ones are ones that are like immersion and you know lore friendly to the games. At least
Hmm.
that's how I like to play them. But they just kind of create new stuff, new aspects, maybe new quests or items, stuff like that. And it just kind of to help make the game a little bit more fun. Because after you've played a game, 4 or 5 times over and over and over again, it's the same thing.
Hmm.
You kind of want something fresh, something new.
Yeah.
To change it because
Okay.
once these companies make the game, they just make the game.
So the
Right.
modding is more for like the developers do it, because I've
Afterward,
heard
yeah,
Kalam say that she like modded a rifle, and I know what that means. But whenever you were saying modded, I was like, well, how is they're gonna the developers aren't gonna go in there and make these people's guns or whatever.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's what the modders do. They just go create new stuff for the game and for
Hmm.
people to enjoy.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's that, and it's also with some games, that where you have people that make different add-ons, and sometimes that's, I don't know. To me,
Hmm.
add-ons and mods are kind of hand in hand, if not the
Yeah,
same thing, but looking from two different perspectives. Because you can have some great add-ons that just really enhance your playtime, and it gives a lot of gives a lot of life balance with some games.
Well,
Uh,
there would also be a third one, which would, and I know this is controversial, but cheating. Some
yeah,
people can use cheating as a mod because that's
hmm
giving them an
yeah,
upper hand.
yeah, and that's the thing that I think with those types, it's a
I hope
thing that
Laura's
is
here.
it's a thing that's found out after it's used. Like, you really can't see the cheating aspects until someone uses it. Oh, okay, that this is, you're cheating if you're using this. But,
Right.
but it's kind of, I don't know. For me, I don't know from either of your point of views, but for me, it's like with cheating mods, it's almost one of those things where you have to try and get the cat after it's out of the bag.
yeah.
It's just sort of like you see someone using it and they're cheating, and like, oh, okay, you're cheating with this. Okay, well, that's got to get banned or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, it's already out there, so who knows how many people are replicating it, renaming
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I mean,
Um.
in my opinion, like playthrough wise, I mean, I'll try and play a game a couple different times, and
Hmm.
usually finish it once or twice, and then
Mm.
then I'll try the mods out just to kind of get a little bit or a refresh after I've kind of stepped away from it for a while, played something
Hmm.
else for a bit, then come back and just kind of give it a refresh. But that's about how I look at it. I don't want to do it like right off the get go,
Hmm.
fresh playing a game because then you're not going to understand and get the feel for what the game was about in the first place if you're doing all that extra stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got, I think, MMOs have gotten to the point where it's either, I mean, for the longest, it was either something like World of Warcraft or something so far out there that no one really wanted to touch it after a while because it was just too much of a high, just a too much thinking in this concept. You just really couldn't grasp a hold of it. Um, but that being said, first person shooters, I think what do you guys see the bleed over a lot where Call of Duty is just like ba 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 and ba 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 is just like bigger, or do you see that to be where some of these games are trying different things? I think Calamity, you were saying that survival is if I understood it correctly, survival is more your thing, especially in regards to vigor. Do you go back and forth between Call of Duty and Vigor in regards to what you really wanted to, I want it to be more just straight up first person shooter.
Well, so there are two totally separate types of games. So now on Division, it's more you're fighting AI. So there's kind of a science to making it through. In other words, it's almost like
Okay.
scripted. If you know how to beat it, you can replicate it. But
Mm-hmm.
with Bigger, you're fighting player versus player. So
Right.
PvP, and there's no script. You're totally flying by the seat of your pants every time. So it's a different kind of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people would get bored with Division after they beat it a couple of times, but there's such a low percentage of people that can actually complete it successfully in like what's the word I'm looking for? A larger percentage of the time you are beating it rather than getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that kind of a challenge. But
Mm-hmm.
Vigor is just a mix up all the time because you don't know what somebody's going to do. Somebody could rush you. Somebody could be hiding inside of a tree. There's always new hiding spots that you didn't know about that they knew about. So there's
Mm-hmm.
just different levels of excitement.
Um, I think that's one of those things that kind of defines that freshness that some games have. They put in different things that can appeal to a variety of people that are playing it in hopes that that variety is what keeps them in their game as long as possible. There's some games that are just pretty much straightforward. If you like this, you will play this, and you will play it until you don't want anymore, and hopefully you come back.
Your fingers
Because
won't fall off, and hopefully you won't get carpal tunnel in the process.
yeah, well, like say for me, when I try out games, I'm trying to I go about it because okay, I'm trying this game out because there's something about it that I like. I heard about it or I saw a trailer for it or whatever, and I wanted to
Thought it would be interesting,
yeah
or
wanted to give it a shot. 180 hours later, I'm like, okay, I've had my fill. I've experienced whatever I wanted to, and all the stuff that I wasn't really interested in. I, you know, I really don't have any say one way or the other on that. But there's never been like a game. I'm trying to think of a game that I just like. As soon as I got 10 minutes in, I was just like, oh, fuck off. I can't. really can't. I think, no, I can't think
that's
of.
about every game, literally every game that I've ever
That's
played.
every game for you? Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
That's
mean,
every,
Tetris,
right?
I may
Oh,
have
okay.
rocked that out a little bit, but that's a little different. I don't really consider that a video
Tetris,
game.
Tetris survived. Uh, but we'll go back. We'll come back to Tetris actually. But has either of you, come across a game where you're just like, oh my god, I I could have been learning how to make Tibetan pottery. Uh, in the time that I spent with this bullshit they released this, because I know I've played some games like I just flew through the planet. Why did they release this? Is clearly there's some games out there they want to
You're like,
release.
I'm a fucking superhero right now.
Well, yeah, like to what Hillbilly was saying a little bit, they want to release games that are playable. There's a state of playability that a game should be in before it's released. Otherwise, don't release it. Um, but there are some games that they just like, you know what? We gotta we gotta we gotta pay back all these loans that this investor is about to close our shop, so let's just grab as many pre-sale or pre-order cash as we can and dip. I think there's some games that people have done that, and it's a
But I also think, and this doesn't have actually to do with anything with actual gameplay, but just the idea of gaming and what it's done it created its own industry. So,
well, yeah.
it's not that uncommon from just a money standpoint to say, hey, if this is what works, these quick fixes, that's what works, and we just need to get it out there. It's people are going to buy it no matter what. I mean, from a business standpoint, why would you do that if you're trying to make money? If you're trying to improve the gaming industry, not the money industry, but just the
Mhm.
gaming portion of it, then that's when you would want to put some money into the quality of the game.
Mhm.
But as long as people are so freaking hungry for these games when they come out, I mean, don't people get on wait lists and stuff to download games?
Uh,
That's a thing, right?
On
yeah.
Steam it is, I believe.
Like back in the day when there was GameStop, like you would go in and be like, I want to put
Oh,
this game on
pre-order.
pre-order or whatever.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
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 and
yeah.
they'd
The
have a launch
pre-order, yeah.
party at midnight. And the midnight launch party,
Right.
Yeah.
I would be in line. You
Oh
get a
yeah.
ticket. It was great.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
what
It's
I
always
mean?
the
Like
night
people
before
are
you had to work
hungry.
the next day too, so you had to take the day off.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. I'm
my
sick
friend,
today.
yeah, a
Yeah.
friend of mine would do that, and I would be like, I would just be rubbing the flesh away
Yo,
from my forehead
what? No, what?
because he would say, "Hey, man, hey, you wanna hang out tonight?" No, the new update comes out tonight, so I'm gonna be playing that until I fall asleep at the keyboard. I'm like,
With the controller.
right. I'm like, really? Yeah, man. Everyone's lined up, and he's so amped up about it. And I was just like, I'm not there. Like we were playing the same game. It was World of Warcraft at the time, and it was weird because I'm playing the same game he is, but he's way more amped up about it than I am, and I'm like, I don't care about this update. I'm
I've got
good.
a buddy of mine that's been playing Destiny since it came out.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
When we booked our vacation November of last year, he
Okay.
booked he booked his. There was one time where it was his anniversary and his wife's birthday in 1 week. So he's like, I'll take that week. Then he took some time off in the summer, and then he used the rest of it to plan for when the Destiny update release came out this
Mhm,
year. He
We need
planned
this
mhm,
person.
two and a
That
half
person has some
weeks.
commitment.
But like that's like his game. That's all he's got
mhm.
thousands of hours into it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I imagine. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts, but at the same time, I can
But
appreciate that level of
he booked a third of his vacation based around when an update for a game comes out.
It's kind of awesome.
but that's what gaming companies want, right? That type of
Oh,
person. They're like, look, we can put out a game about a talking hand puppet, and this person will be ready to play it. Let's do it. You got people that are want to that'll ride and die with certain gaming companies. Um, but the one thing that I thought, like, there's games out there that get to a point that um, they're so onto something new that they just implode. And one came to mind. I don't know if either of you played it, but it was called Firefall, and
is
it
it the vampire
tried.
thing?
Huh?
What one was that one?
It was called Firefall, and it was done by a studio, Red Five Studio. It was it was trying to do like, okay, cool, MMOs are a thing. Let's do that. Okay, first person shooter is a thing. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Gathering shit and farming is cool. Okay, cool. Let's do it. And they were getting all these things together that would appeal to the various types of gamers. Want to play with teams? Great, you can do that. Want to set up a guild? Awesome, you can do that. Want to be solo? Cool. Sci-fi? Awesome, we got that. We got that for you too. Want to be able to fly? Perfect. So they had all these things, and they had the world concept. They had the game, a massive world, and they did this thing, which is right in line with what Hillbilly was talking about as well. they opened it up for people to play, but then also contributed to the building of the game at the same time. So good concept. But what happened is it just set the game to be perpetually in beta. It never fully released
Oh, okay. I see.
because
Mm.
because everyone was in it with the means of creating their own aspects of the game. And then if
Right.
somebody else was doing something cool, then they built on that with it. And then, got with developers and said, hey, we've been doing this thing. It'd be great to have it in the game. All right, cool. We'll try and do that on the next update. So you had all these updates, but never an official release, and to the point that the game just sort of soured with everyone because it never officially released. And then the developers were like, fuck off, and they just left. It was just imploded. They tried to
I felt
revive
kind of
it.
like
Huh?
I kind of felt that way for a while there with one that was like you were saying, kind of like was always like perpetually in limbo with being in beta, but it's released now as far as I know. But that was because I dabble a little bit with PC gaming when I can, but that was Last Epoch was one of those
Mhm.
ones that it's like great game, great concept, everything was just beautiful, everything was really great about it, but like it was perpetually always in
Mhm.
the beta, which is fine
Right.
because like you start playing really good, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, we got to implement this, we got to fix that," and then you were always worried that you're going to lose everything that you've done
Right.
because one slip of the finger and they
Jeez.
delete a whole server, and you're
Right.
all that
Yeah.
hard work. So like I played just
Oh
to
my God,
play it.
could you imagine seriously the shit show in that place?
Oh, it's
If that
happened.
wouldn't happen. Oh
Mhm.
God.
But I mean, that also goes kind of, I feel like, hand in hand too with some of these studios that like were rushed to put a game out,
Mhm.
and I like two come to mind straight off the top of my head, and because I was a day one 76er.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I did all the pre stuff, I did the whole
What is that? A
beta.
union?
No, Fallout 76. It was a
Mhm.
game
Oh,
that came out, and
okay.
it was disastrous.
Yeah.
And people had such high expectations because they'd played the other games and they were well done, and it was rushed
Mhm.
severely. And like I said, I mean, like when I say I was a day one guy, I was a day one guy. Like I played for about 48 hours straight when it came out. I was
Crikey.
sitting there waiting for it to drop and then play it,
Mhm.
and it was one of the biggest calamities I think there ever was. And it
Shout
it
out.
made it made so many people just walk away from the game.
Yeah.
And I played. I mean, I put probably about 100 hours into it, and then I stopped playing for about 3 years.
Mhm.
And then I
Damn.
went back to it, and they'd finally cleaned it all up. But the second one that really hit a lot of people in the in the low spot was Cyberpunk 2077,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because people had
Yeah.
high hopes because they'd been playing The
Yeah.
Witcher, and The Witcher games were solid, 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 solid. And then Cyberpunk came out, and like the concept was great. It was beautiful visually to what you expect, what you thought it was going to be until you
Mhm.
played it, and then it was just a lot of blurs and bugs, and it took them a long time, and they lost a lot of good people playing it, and then they finally fixed it. But I think that some of these studios, it takes them almost too long, and then by then you've scarred people, and they don't trust you as much.
Mhm. Yeah.
But then I've seen some studios that like should have done better that didn't. There was a game particularly that I played, and then I had my girlfriend play it too, and she really enjoyed it. And it was called Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning,
Mhm.
and it
It's a
was
mouthful.
yeah, it was a small studio. I can't remember. It was a pro baseball player who created the studio, and it was a fantasy
Oh
based game. Yeah,
yeah.
and it
Oh
it bankrupted
yes.
bankrupted the state of Rhode Island.
Uh huh.
Shut up.
No, I'm
Whatever. No, it did
serious.
not.
It
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Look it
Yeah.
up. I think it was like 38 house. I think it was 38 house games or some shit like that. And
Yeah.
but when it came out, the game was great. The concept was great behind it for a fantasy game. Visually, they got people on board to do
What was
like
it called? I'm gonna look it up.
Kingdoms of
Already.
Amalur. But like they did their due diligence. Like it was a great game
Yeah.
because they had the artist. was it the artist for Elder Scrolls? One of the artists that
Uh-huh.
helped make that. And then the story was created by
Ooh, this
R.A.
is
Salvatore,
pretty.
who did a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons
Kurt
storylines.
Schilling.
Kurt Schilling, there you go. Yep.
Yeah,
This is really pretty.
And it was a great game. And I mean, it was
yeah.
beautiful visually. The mechanics of it were fairly simple to work. You know, it wasn't really. He didn't have a whole bunch of crazy button pushing. You know, I mean, it was pretty basic. I liked
Right.
the fact that you could do so many different things with it. You know, with your builds, you could go, you know, just a plain Jane, or you can do hybrid. But what I think the best part of that game for me was the fact that the way that like weapons worked in that game was great, because when they did the motion capturing, they had the actors that did the motion capturing actually portray like they were running those weapons, so it wasn't just some weird gaudy thing. So when you were using a warhammer, it was very slow, but the strike was so strong. Same with great swords. But then when you go into daggers and other things like that, it was so much faster. The fluidity of it was really good, and the ability to be able to switch from one weapon to the one weapon style to the next almost seamlessly.
Right.
What excuse me, was very unprecedented, because I mean there wasn't a lot of games out there that you could have two separate types of weapon classes and almost run them seamlessly.
Right.
You know, I mean, it wasn't like there was that delay, which would be semi-realistic, but I thought that was a really cool concept, and I haven't seen that in any other game really. But I mean, I may be out of the realm a little bit, but for the
Right.
most part, when it comes to most games of that style, you don't really see that. You basically you pick your style, and that's what you go through from start to finish. But with that, it was very, I mean, it was so open ended. You could do what you wanted with it. I mean, you could change right in the middle of doing something. You change your whole class prospect and just continue the game on. You never had to like restart and make another character.
Right.
And I liked that aspect of it. I mean, you could kind of respec on the fly, sort of, you know, and that was a neat concept without having to, you know, finish a game and then respec it or start a whole new avatar character or whatever like that, and then start all over from the beginning. And I thought that was a kind of a cool concept. But to see that company just, I mean, they didn't last long at all. They got shut down.
No.
And
Yeah.
when it did that, if you were playing the game, you got level locked, whatever, when that game got shut down.
Yeah.
And then somebody years later came along and they bought it all up, bought the rights, and they re-released it, calling it Re-Reckoning, and added some more DLC to it, and it was still the same game, and it was great, and with some added stuff, and it was very well done. And I just wish it wouldn't have got destroyed as bad as it did, because I think that they could have made a really good sequel to it, and they were in the process of making a sequel, and it all got shut down. It was kind of sad, to be honest.
Yeah. So I here's the thing. Going back, because I said we're going to go back to Tetris. Do you think that gaming is to a point, and this is an open question to everybody, do you think that there's like, you can try too hard with gaming and alienate your audience, and then you could just go for the simplistic bliss of something like Tetris and lock an audience in
For decades.
Yeah, to the point that a movie is made on how Tetris
Right.
came about.
They probably didn't even need to like update it. They could have just fucking kept it the way it was and still be banging it.
No,
You know?
I don't think they ever really updated Tetris aside from the game that allowed you to play Tetris, and you know the graphics changed by way of that. But the concept of the whole, this is Tetris. I mean, you would have people that would emulate the Tetris formula, so to speak, and you know make it plants or wood blocks or whatever.
Right.
But that sit on the toilet, I'm playing this game until my legs go numb aspect of Tetris that I know they were shooting for all along. Then you have games like what Hillbilly was talking about, where they're doing motion capture and then making sure it is as realistic as possible. And the thought is, we're capturing everything so that you are visually seeing the best representation of this fantasy version of yourself as much as possible. Do you think there's do either of you think there's a sweet spot?
Clam. What do you think?
It's open-ended, so anybody can jump in.
Okay, no. So I have another question.
While you all ponder that, yeah.
Yes. So we were talking about on a previous episode, we were talking about that people sometimes will like you can get paid to game for somebody
Mm-hmm.
like during a tournament or whatever. Like if you were that into it, I'm sure there's a word for it, but I was wondering, has any of you paid someone to or bought coins or whatever for someone or their money for the game for a service like no like a gaming service?
Yeah.
So like paying to like make a special kind of sword or like because you could actually make money that way. You could set up little crafting tables in there and then just pimp yourself out, right?
No, I haven't. I've talked to people.
I bet dirty hillbilly.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
No?
I mean, I've never pimped out or been pimped out, but I mean, I've talked to people that, especially like a big one I know was in like the Fallout 76 community.
Mm-hmm.
People made stupid money. I mean, I know I've talked to people. I talked to a guy. He bought a brand new house. He made that much money off of it because he figured out how to dupe things and
They get to work.
do all these crazy re-rolls on weapons and armor to make them exactly perfect for people. And I mean, he literally bought a $300,000 house. He's making money off that, and some of those guys make stupid amounts of money. They got cars and houses and toys and all kinds of stuff like that, and their gaming rig setup is just astronomical. So I mean, I mean, shit, it'd be cool if I could, but I game a lot, but I don't game that much. Like I have a life outside of gaming. I have a job to go to and relationship to be in. I love gaming, but there's a line where you just got to say, hey, I can't make this a job. Now,
Everything's a balance.
Testing games and helping create games, that could be a lucrative job because there is an end in sight where you put in your time for the day and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a double-edged sword on that. Like when they say never turn your hobby into a life or into a job. And I think it'd be fun for a while, but then like I wouldn't want it to be something I'd do for like a main form of money because then I feel like then you just kind of lose the excitement of playing the game. Yeah.
So that leads me to this question: do you think that like how do y'all see or take like a gaming addiction? Because I know that you can get sucked in.
Yeah.
And staying up for 48 hours to play a game, like that seems insane to me, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like, but at what point does that become an addiction? It's what I would say: if you can't hold down a job, if you can't hold up relationships, then yeah.
I mean, I guess it comes down to what the definition of addiction is, because you'll have some people that say like, well, I just wanted to do it I dedicated this many days, or I dedicated 2 days to this game, and now I'm back to, so yeah.
Well, there's a difference between being very passionate and playing a lot and being full-blown addicted. And I think for me, the best example I might have for that was, this wasn't yesterday when I was in college. We yeah.
I love the asterisks.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I was in a residence, 4-story building, built to accommodate approximately, I'll say 140, 150-ish students in there. And I was everybody's out for the first time out from underneath mom and dad's thumb. I can do what I want. I'm an adult. And that first year, we started off in residence, I'll say about 140 students. And come the end of our first semester, so by the Christmas break, we were down to 86 in residence. Some people had moved out, but a vast majority of them, well, a bit of them were done because of partying and they didn't have to pay for anything, so they were gone. But I know a lot of people, I can't say I personally know them. I met them there for the few months, but they skipped class, they skipped meals, so they could play World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it had only been out for a few years. People were
Yeah.
heavily addicted. The new releases were coming out, the updates, and these people were spending 18 to 20 hours a day
Yeah.
Jeez.
playing this. Like I said, missing classes,
Mhm.
and they were what we referred to as Christmas grads. So
Yeah.
it's a nice trade in.
That's funny.
Okay.
But these
Well
people were.
played.
It was a full blown addiction in that
Yeah.
context, in my opinion.
Wow.
So
Yeah, no, I get that totally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when Warcraft came out, to what you're saying, Maniac, I think the success of Warcraft, and I guess that's a success for any game like that. If it comes out at the right time, doing the thing that no other game has done in a way that no one has done it, it becomes so mind blowing to the point that people just can't get enough to satiate that first hit of that game, so to speak.
It is like a drug, though, isn't it?
I think it becomes it's an instant cult classic. Like it's a cult classic.
Yeah,
Like, you can look at games like movies. Like it's a cult classic. Like everybody just like got so enthralled in what was happening because
but
dude
some of these
saying
things you can list off certain games, and everybody goes, "Oh, I have these memories."
right,
Like for
right.
me,
yep.
the pinnacle got me into console gaming was
Yep.
GoldenEye.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
See, see,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
stopped at Mario.
But like what
I
you're
don't know.
saying, Maniac, for the people that are playing, it becomes a bleed over. So, to Hillbilly's point about it being classic, you could say Leroy Jenkins, and then people are like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, that
Roy.
laugh alone, that laugh alone means you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you
Oh,
might have been playing Warcraft or not, but you know of that. And then you go into another game and you say Leroy Jenkins, and they're like, oh yeah, I know it. And then it becomes a thing. It becomes a verb. It becomes hey, I'm about to go in Leroy Jenkins. Everybody in this room. Oh, okay, cool. It becomes a strategy almost. And so you get to where if a game is permeating through the gaming industry and community like that, I guess it does become a classic in that aspect. But my point though is like you have gaming at that point. I don't think people were into it as much as they are now, and Warcraft set the tone for what MMOs are doing up in to this very day. They have the crafting, they have the color schemes for the quality of gear, guilds and PvP, PvE, to the level of which it is, it's gotten to be in a certain point now, and they've gone through all the hardships of it too, the servers, the queues, and how to satiate the community to make it viable. Now, to Dinosaur's point, though, you got people that will just get so immersed in that they forgo everything else outside, and then they become, like Maniac was saying, Christmas grads. And
Which was genius, by the way.
yeah, it totally set the, it's totally set it. It's hard though to know how a person is going to, it's not across the board. Like everybody that played Warcraft didn't turn out that way. So it's hard to kind of say how many people or how a game will affect people like that. But can it be addictive? Possibly. I guess it depends on how it, affects that person. Yeah. But I mean, money wise, like the previous question, yeah, there's people that will make a ridiculous amount of money, and it's weird to watch how much money they make off of it. That like
Because they do stuff for other people.
well, like we were talking about earlier when we started farming. Some people will just leave that up to people, and I think with last episode, Maniac and I were talking about that too, where somebody does their thing, goes do their 9 to 5. Meanwhile, they've paid someone to farm hay for them, and when they get back, mission accomplished. They got 50,000 barrels, bales of hay, and that person is paid for it. And
Insane.
you can keep that going. Have I ever paid anyone? No. Have I
Have you ever been paid?
done something for someone and got paid for it? Yes.
Yes, my boy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pants down, fully whored out.
A true hoe. I love it.
But to the point of where, like, am I doing it for the experience in the game? Yes. Am I doing it like what Hillbilly was talking about, where it becomes a thing that you kind of turn this corner, and the thing that you are doing to relax, detach, have a good time, not have to worry about bullshit going on, when that becomes part of what you're trying to get away from, then it becomes something you're like, oh, I don't even like this anymore. I don't enjoy this anymore. And you don't want to do that to the thing that is there. You're that's why you game, but if my answer to why do I game is so I can farm and make money, and so I can craft and make money, and not just money in the game, actual money in the physical reality, then yeah, that's the differing thing with two different gamers. I mean, I think you got people out there that just run crafting houses like that and just do it.
Yeah, I had a friend that he was in between jobs, and he really needed to be able to make some money. And he had another friend who was pretty well off, but he didn't have a lot of time to grind. And I don't know if I should say which game it is, but it was bigger. And the friend that needed to make the money, he was like, well, dude, I can just let you kill me over and over and over, and you can farm everything off my body as long as we go into the game at the same time as solos. So for $50 an hour, I'll let you kill me as many times as you can every hour. And his friend was like, bet, let's go.
Wow.
So his friend was just farming every single thing that he wanted from the sky, and they did it for hours every day.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
That's a retirement plan right there.
It's
Right?
weird.
I thought it
As
was
long as the
pretty
old
smart.
arthritis doesn't kick in.
That's above my
Weird.
pay grade.
It's a little weird though, because you have those things where you, in every game, I think for Warcraft it was called boxing, which was just bizarre. You got one guy on one computer, he boots up the other computer with a different character, but he's sitting there running both of them on two different computers at the same time. And, you set one to follow, and you just do whatever the hell. And, you can basically attack people and know you got another person that's going to help you all the time. And then you got some people to do it with 2, 3, 4 computers. And it's like, okay, nuts.
Not that coordinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that.
So-
I guarantee you, if I did it, one of mine would fall off a cliff. I wouldn't be able to keep up with it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I do want to clarify
What you're
one
saying?
thing with Vigor, though, and my Vigor friends will really find this, I guess, sustainable. But the kicker was the guy that was getting paid the $50 an hour to let his friend kill him. The kicker was that his friend had to pay for his insurance every game, that's 60 coins. So he was not losing his gear. He was dying. His friend was harvesting from him, but because he bought insurance, he would get all the gear back. So they were just farming it that way. He never lost anything. He just gained
That's kind of
$50
sneaky, huh?
an hour. Oh,
Wow.
for sure.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, that's called
Did
putting
your
some
mind
strategy
just
on the game
blow?
itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a straight hustle is what that was.
Well, because that was the
Oh,
next
for
question.
sure.
That Christmas graduation has graduated.
Well, that was the next question I had.
Honors.
I was like, okay, if he dies and he takes his stuff,
Yeah.
how long is he sitting around to get all that stuff back just so he could die? But he
I
had this
know.
insurance, so he really got it all back.
It was sustainable. It was never
Yeah.
ending. As long as the guy would pay every game for him to have insurance, they never ran out of gear.
There's some crafty people out there, man. There's some real crafty people, and they come up with some stuff, and it's kind of amazing with that. And so kind of going with the whole addiction thing, but I don't want to make it to the equivalent. It's a different. I'll just say it's a different level of addiction. Can it be detrimental? Yeah. Can some people? I mean, there's cases of people dying playing gaming. Just saying it like
Really?
it is. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what? I'm morbid
Were
curiosity.
you
I'm
saying?
sorry. I've got to know
Did
the
you say
details.
like what?
Yeah, because I don't need to sacrifice my internet history,
Well, I
my
mean,
digital footprint.
yeah, I
You
was
know what I
gonna
mean?
say, I
So if you could
got
just
you.
tell me, that's
Yeah, I
great.
got you. No, literally, I got you with the history minus
That you've sacrificed yourself
every episode. I
numerous.
fuck my
Oh,
history up.
somebody's on the watch list.
Yeah, dude, the amount of
I'm
stuff
pretty
I've
sure
searched for this podcast, I know I'm being looked at.
the CIA
Uh,
has you on point.
yeah, right. But yeah, there was a person. I forget what it was. It was in. I want to say Philippines. I could be wrong,
Ladyboy.
or Indonesia. Anyway,
Ladyboy.
yeah, yeah. He basically he was like, yeah, he went into an internet cafe and just played and played, and people thought he took a nap, and no, dude died. It was,
Shut your face.
but but
Oh my God.
Well,
to what Maniac was saying is like they don't eat, they don't sleep, they go and go and go, and you know what? In the end, your body's gonna win. Your body's gonna say, you know what? Fuck you. I need to shut down, and that exhaustion is real. It can catch up to you.
But that's where the other people that died because they got addicted to playing that. But then they started slamming energy drinks.
Mm.
I was
Oh
gonna
yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah.
Then you,
a few
then
stories.
you had all the
Right.
Monster and Red Bull deaths because these guys are drinking 5, 10, 15 of these things. And their heart literally just
Those are
pounds and explodes out of their chest, or they
My
stop going to the
ex-wife
bathroom.
like NOS. NOS?
Yeah,
It's
all
NOS.
those energy drinks. Like that was a big thing. Was like when they
Jesus.
first, especially when they first started coming out, because then everybody's like, "Wow, we can keep going." And it replaced Mountain Dew for a long time because that was a drink of choice for gamers was Mountain Dew and Surge. And then when like Red Bull and Monster and all that shit came out, well, then all these guys are like, "Oh hell yeah!" And they'd play and they wouldn't go to the bathroom, or they'd just go to the bathroom where they were sitting, and then
Stadium buddy.
eventually, yeah, stadium buddy, yeah. Eventually, your heart started to kind of go away, and your body started to go into shock, also from sitting there for so long because you're getting poor circulation. And I mean, I read plenty of stories about that of people dying in the middle of gaming because they don't move, and they're not eating, they're not drinking, they're not going to the bathroom properly, they're not getting the rest, and yeah, it's real shit. It's crazy. It seems way out there, like left field, but it's real shit.
What were you saying, Maniac?
Speaking of shit, watch out for those smelly socks.
What?
Ew, gross.
Sorry,
go ahead. I've heard similar stories about. I don't know how anecdotal it is, but the one I guess more vividly remember hearing was it was down. I think it was somewhere in the States that. Yeah, Canadian.
What about it?
No, do the Buddha day. There we go. That the guy, he was living on his own in the apartment. He was always at work all the time, but he had a couple of days off and then didn't show up for a shift. So his boss had called for a welfare check. The police showed up, looked in the window, saw him in his underwear, keeled over on the couch with like a dozen rock stars or whatever it was around him, a couple empty bags of Doritos, and the TV was going.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a nutty thing. I think those are the things that I think about when you brought up addiction, Dinosaur. I was like, okay, there's those levels that are really one of those things where it's just you can't connect, but you can't connect with that person because they're so into a game. I can't relate, and
they become socially awkward because like the mentality behind gaming in the beginning was you were a stereotype of a person, and now that's changed all the way over. But the fact of the matter is like there's so many people that they take it so much further than it needs to be and that's what I think creates the addiction, because like you said, they quit working, they quit
Mhm.
eating, drinking, they quit having a social life whatsoever, and you hear stories about it. I mean, that's a lot, not nearly mainstream news, but I mean, if you're a gamer
Mhm.
and you're an avid gamer, you tend to kind of read things, you read a lot of articles like that.
Right.
But I think that's, like you said, there's people that are passionate about gaming, and then there's people that are addicted. And I think the addiction portion of it is where they just cannot function in society.
Yeah.
It's like any other addiction, drinking or drugs, whatever. Like, it's the same concept. You can't function in normal society
Right.
because you that's all you think about. That's all you talk about. It's all you live,
All you
breathe.
want to do.
Yeah, and I think it's a real thing. I just don't
Yeah.
think it's the prevalency of it is it's a serious, and it's a thing that's happening, but I don't think people talk about it as much because gaming is still kind of a niche subject.
Yeah.
But there is a widespreadness of it, and I do believe that it's something that's out there. It's just not talked about. It's kind of like, oh well, you can't be you can't be addicted to that. It's it's not real. But some people take that shit like it's gaming is real life to them. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right. That's where
they
the
start
line goes.
living their life in the
Mhm.
game. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody that's an avid gamer is waiting for when we get to the of technology where we have Ready Player One.
Yeah. Full
Love
immersion.
that.
Full
Like
immersion.
Ugh.
I want that bad, but like
I
I
wanted
know
that
that
too. I just want to go wander around.
like
Yeah.
once you have that though, I think that's where like there's nothing new
Yeah.
anymore, because like you basically you are your avatar.
Right.
You are doing that, and I think that's where the line's going to get very blurred,
Absolutely.
because people are going to be like, well, now I can live my life in a game.
Mhm.
What's the
Mhm.
point of
Mhm.
anything else, and what's real interaction when you can just be somebody completely different? I
Right.
mean, and I think that's where the big push to social awkwardness is going to really, go to the next level, is when you basically are your character.
Well,
Then you start thinking you can do the things that they do. You
right.
can. You don't get a one up. You don't get an extra life. It's just
Yeah.
that's it, one and done.
That's a whole nother industry that's going to come up
Mm.
too. I mean, you gotta
It's coming though. Think about
there's
it.
money to be made.
Meta's already here. It's
Yeah.
coming.
Well, right, but what I'm thinking about is some people want to spend so much time online and then they don't have time to eat. They don't have time to fix their own self something to eat or whatever. People could start making like apartments that
Yeah.
they have an IT staff there.
Yeah.
They can come in and get it taken care of right whenever something happens.
Yeah. What do they
They're
call
going
it?
to make for sure that you eat and check on you and stuff. I mean, they're like a nursing home, kind of,
What do they
but just
call
like
it?
a party house.
What do they
What?
call it? It's like God. I just heard the term yesterday. What do they call it? It's um, it's
I mean, it's a caretaking kind of position,
no,
sort of.
it's like 20 foot, 25 foot communities or something like that, where everything is within 25 feet away from where it's all within the.
What?
Yeah, it's a big thing. But let's take a couple of steps back from the ledge of insanity that
Sorry, I could just
that
go
we're
there
on.
going
naturally.
towards with
Have you
Ready
met
Player
me?
One. I wanted to just hang a little bit around the thing we talked about right there when we were evolving to that. Gaming is, like you said, there's a. I think the social awkwardness of gaming was in the beginning because not a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people weren't doing it at that time, and it was really one of those things where it's like, whatever, it's gaming. No, 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 no. Look, this block is going to come down and see how it's L shape. It fits in this L shape that's missing. Okay, fine, whatever. You get tokens and okay, the lights and the sounds. Okay, awesome. And the donkey throw and yeah, the gorilla throws the barrels. Got it. When that I feel like that the immediate shift in what society sees as the way society sees gaming came into play once people figured out, wait, I can make money doing this shit. Once they
Well,
realize they can make money making them and they can make money playing them, that's when commercialism was like, well, how do you do? Let me go ahead and
Right.
give you some endorsements, and here's
Did
my
someone say
energy drink.
monetizing?
Yeah,
Okay.
here's my energy drink, and here's my sponsorship, and here's my advertisement within the game, and here's a commercial during the Super Bowl. And people started to see it as a viable means of not just entertainment, but of commerce and means of making some money. Then graduate that up to I can do a YouTube channel of me just playing games and people will watch that.
My
Now I got
kids
to get,
watch that. That drives me up the damn
yeah,
wall.
yeah,
I'm like, bud, stop watching Minecraft. I've got it on the Xbox.
right. No, no, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
want
no,
to
no,
do
no.
it. I just want to watch it.
But then on the flip side of that, it's
Mhm.
how much screen time is actually appropriate for
Hmm.
a young
Right,
developing mind.
right. That's what I was
And
going to bring up. Yeah,
and I have to
you're
be
right.
so damn conscious of that because I've got
Uh-huh.
one that's almost a teenager and the other one's about to hit double digits.
Because that
And
boomerang can come back, right?
yeah, and I'm sitting there going, okay, guys, screens are off now. We've had way too much of it, myself included. We're
Mm-hmm.
going
Mm-hmm.
outside. We're going to go touch grass now.
Yeah, because
And
Yes.
and
then,
that's what I
well,
mean.
okay, my friends' kids are about the same age. We're going on a play date. There's going to be no
Hmm.
screens leaving at home.
And they're
I
just
think
looking at each other.
one of the aspects that kind of started
Right.
to change that too was the concept that like when they started like implementing real people into these games, like
Right,
people that are tangible that
right,
exist.
right.
Like I mean, okay, like you were saying earlier, Leroy Jenkins.
Hmm.
Even though after all those years, like everyone remembers all this, like that. Then after years of knowing it, you find out that it was all staged.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
But
how
then,
it
but
didn't
then he
matter.
got implemented into the game, and then you have all these real people that have been
Yep.
implemented into these games that I'm not saying like the sports games or
Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that,
Like
but like
Tony Hawk.
you know, yeah, like real people.
Yeah.
And like, the one thing I did like the World of Warcraft did a great job of was like when they had their avid players that passed away
Uh-huh.
and they implemented them into the games and they made them an NPC. I thought that was a really neat thing. That they did that, but like I think that these young minds, like Maniac was saying, was they say, oh well, that person's a real person. Like that's not just
Hmm.
a fabricated, entity or character in a game. That's a real like breathing person.
Hmm.
Well, I want to do that. I want to be part of that. Or, we live in a society now where like everybody wants to make a quick buck. Well, they start seeing
Hmm.
like these streamers on Twitch and YouTube and all this stuff like that. They're making, they're bragging about all the money they're making
Right.
doing this stuff. And then everybody wants to try and do it. Well, then you saturate the market. But then they
Yeah.
find out, oh, it's not as easy to
Not
get into
nearly.
all that stuff like that. And then we've crossed the lines in the whole, Twitch streaming and YouTube because now we went from just, random dudes and random gals playing the
Exactly.
games and having fun. Well, now we've turned into, you know, we've sexualized it.
Yeah.
But
I've
So
seen that, and I mean
such a
that's a
human.
problem for young minds too because they don't comprehend what's going on. But when they see a really pretty girl or a really
right.
handsome guy playing a game, and they're like, oh, they're doing all these side bits for
Right.
people. When I'm like, yeah, that's when it starts to turn into a huge issue. I
Oh,
think.
yikes.
Right.
I never thought about it that way.
So when
But
you
there's
get
such a
Yeah.
to so when
human
you got those
crossover from the
Mhm.
technology as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
when you
when
got
we were younger
crossover.
growing up, it was always the side scrolling or such a heavily pixelated figure that you're like, it's
Hmm.
human ish. But
Hmm.
nowadays,
Yeah.
with 3D rendering, you
Hmm.
almost can't tell the difference between a video game and a video
Hmm.
of
Wow.
scenes
Hmm.
outside. And then,
Yeah.
like you're saying, with the people doing the streaming and whatnot, there's such a correlation mashup in the middle that sometimes
Yeah.
you can't tell reality from fiction. And a
Yeah.
lot of
It's like
these new developing minds can't tell that as well,
can't
and they're
do
getting
that.
confused. So I
Yeah.
think we're at the point where the technology we're using has actually outgrown us. We now have to evolve to it.
Yeah, there's an evolution for sure. I think that I've always told people that there's two things that drive technology: porn and gaming. And
You're not wrong.
It's true.
people will be like, that's how dare you? That's filthy. This is creative minds, and those creative minds build porn and gaming.
The
Because
40 inches
those
are reached
test,
out with Blu-rays instead of
I mean,
HD.
yeah, exactly. The test beds that people don't realize about that is like, okay, how can I get a video streaming platform up that handles currency? Oh, well, let's use this platform over here because clearly they've got it down. I think that you have that crossover when commercialization and uh, commerce, and then you start throwing in different things where you guys were mentioning like the bleed over of real people. Like just recently, I was watching an interview with Tulam on it, and he's into Call of Duty, and it's like, no, this is the actual guy that's done. This is the actual special forces guy that they started doing body capture, motion capturing of, and like, oh yeah, it's all super legit and it looks really great. And it's like, yeah, because this is an actual person, and they ended up putting him in the game and everything. And he even admits, yeah, it's kind of weird to see me in a game, but I've been doing so much with Call of Duty to make sure that it was as realistic as possible. I wanted to, contribute that way, but it's kind of weird when you get to. So gaming has been to the point where it's been demonized. Like, okay, nothing good comes from gaming. Shootings happen if you play games, and crime happens if you play games. Um, but it's hard to escape the fact that it is something that people love to do. And when you then get the aspects of blurring those lines between reality, blurring those lines between okay. How do we represent certain people? The sexualization becomes accepted. It's acceptable if it's within a game, but in reality, no woman is in a live firefight in a bikini top and a thong. But
Yeah.
I guarantee you can play a first person shooter and it's totally fine. It's like every dude is geared out, and the chicks always have a knife in their mouth and a sniping
I'd be
rifle.
willing to wear like a banana suit or something.
Yeah. But but to your point, if you wear a banana suit, that's goofy. Okay, you're just a
Right.
fucking clown. But if
He's the
you're that
pothead.
chick, if you're the chick with shades and hair in a ponytail and a string bikini on, yeah, that's legit. That's what you do as a sniper.
Well,
The
because that's the age old thing. Sex
That's my
sells. So
Oh yeah,
if
yeah,
you sexualize it, then yeah, you're going to sell the shit out of everything.
absolutely, absolutely. And
I'm much
so
more interested in the tactile pants. I'm
right,
just saying.
so that brings me into like stereotypes and whatnot. And I think I know Calamity and I talked about it a while back. Where you get to where you're playing games and it's sort of, oh, it's understood. If you're a female, you must be a healer. And if you are a healer, then you're probably going to be wearing white. And if, yeah, definitely some wings of some sort, or for sure a crown,
Very.
for
Yeah.
sure a crown. And if you're not a fairy, you're going to have a fairy minion or companion or something fairy floating around you at all times.
I want
Because
to be a dragon.
yeah, you can't be a dragon, you can't be a fighter because you just don't have the coordination or the understanding of the tactics
I
and
have a
strategy.
chin eater. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're a girl. You can't do that.
and so
Well, tell that
and,
to Kalam.
and I was gonna
Oh,
say,
I know.
and so hillbilly and maniac, this is Calamity's time to really shine and this just help us. How much of that is still just there, just all the time? And I can tell by hillbilly laughing that it's pretty much there. But
Yeah, I wish that CC were on because they were having some technical problems
yeah,
getting on,
same
and
here.
they won't be able to rejoin. But I know that this was something that CC had a lot to say on, and I hope that since they can't be here, that we can have them on in the future and
Yeah.
get her thoughts on this too,
Yeah.
because I think that it's really important to hear as many points of view as we can from men and from women.
Absolutely, totally agree. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to load up on the one that we have.
Oh,
So Calamity,
Lord. Baby girl, get it.
yeah, your perspective in regards to the acceptance portrayal, the portrayal, not betrayal, portrayal of women in gaming, is it, I guess what I'm trying to ask, is it getting any better or is it pretty much stuck?
I mean, for the most part, I feel like it's getting better for sure. When you look at some of the mainstream games like Call of Duty, even Vigor, there's some decent looking character skins that you can
Hmm.
get as a female
Hmm.
instead of having to pick a dude for your skin.
Hmm.
I mean, we haven't talked anything about, minority stuff as far as like, we're not going to get into it very much, but since I am part of the LGBTQ
Right.
population, I can say I'm
Ampersand,
actually
ampersand.
very happy with Call of Duty coming out for Pride Month with having different things for that. Pretty cool
Hmm.
because they're
Hmm.
going to have a lot of hate mail for that.
Mm.
But
Ooh.
back to the subject of
Real quick, we were going to get into that too, so don't worry about it.
okay.
Yeah.
This was a great segue, babe. Good job.
Hmm.
Oh, well, you. But as far as gaming goes, I have a little story that I can tell you.
Hmm.
When I was playing Division One, this was when I was really kind of heavy into just starting to come out using my mic because I was pretty
Hmm.
reluctant to do it. I didn't want to get the flack from, oh shit, there's a girl on our team,
Hmm.
back out. We don't want
Right.
to play with her. She's going to drag us down. She doesn't know what she's doing. Even if I did, it didn't matter. They weren't going to give me a chance.
Right.
So this one guy that decided he was going to give me a chance, he was like, damn, I like your skin. Your ass looks so good in that. Let me
Hmm.
follow you. And I was like,
Hmm.
Oh, shit.
okay, creeper.
Right.
But it actually worked out fine for me because he was a bullet sponge behind me. And I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
Follow
Yeah.
me everywhere.
Yes.
Watch my
This is
ass.
why I love
Watch
you.
my ass.
Ah.
Watch my ass. I'll survive. You won't, but sure.
Hilarious.
Zig and zag, but I don't have to anymore because you're right behind
Right.
me.
Right.
Just staring at it.
I could snipe
It worked
all
out
day.
well.
to,
Yeah.
to kind of add to that too, like I feel like it was it's a bad stigma because I
Hmm.
think gaming is not made for one type of person. It's made for everybody, and like I think that like there was a lot of women and young girls and older women and everything like that wanted to play,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
they didn't want to go through all the bullshit nonsense and the stigmas of all that. I mean, like I said in the very 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 beginning, like I got introduced to gaming from my mother, and like that was craziness,
She did
and
good.
she did, and but but now the thing, like kind of like what Clam was saying, was like you're a guy and you just met a girl gamer, now you just think that and there's so much funny things that happen, like all of a sudden they give them so much free shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's that one,
Show
which
me your
is
titties.
No. No. No.
which
No.
is super comical. Because like, oh, it's a girl gamer. Oh,
Yeah.
be
It
super
could be like
nice
an
to her, blah
80-year-old
blah blah.
man. You don't know.
But yeah, exactly. I'm like, but and then like she was kind of saying, well, like the whole introduction of the mic system and everything like that. Then now all of a sudden, okay, now you can hear somebody,
Hmm.
so you can kind of differentiate if they're like a woman or they're an 80-year-old man. But there was such a stigma that created it, but
Yeah.
which is comical because I mean I've played a lot of different games and I've played with a lot of different males and
Hmm.
females, and I look at it like this: a gamer is a gamer to me. I don't care if you're male or female. It's like
Right.
we're gonna play the game, we're gonna have fun. If you're good at something, like if you want to be a tank, or we're playing a game that requires a tank and you can do it, do it. If you
Yeah.
want to
Right.
be a healer, or you want to be support, or
Hmm.
whatever I don't care. I've played a lot of games that are multiplayer, and I'm like, you got to just do what your strong suit is. And
Hmm.
I think there was just a huge stigma, kind of like you were saying, about how, well, they're girls, so they're either not going to be good at the game,
Hmm.
or they're and then if they were doing really good, then you're like, oh, you let somebody else do it. And I
Yeah.
think that was horseshit. I'm like,
I mean,
that's nonsense.
there's the toxicity of gaming that permeates a lot, and I think that this is one of those aspects that come around. Well, not even comes around. I think it's one that is just so steeped in the gaming community that despite somebody saying that, "Oh, I don't do that," they've experienced it in some way or another, either themselves or by other play. And I've experienced the whole thing of where I'm in a group and then the a female gamer comes in, and as soon as people figure that out, this is what this is about. Dinosaurs, like, it's not a showing me your tits kind of thing. It's they get free shit. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, do you have this gun? Do you have that? Hey, I got some spare armor. You want it? Here, take it. You might be better than what you have, because it's there. There's this they're implying that, oh, because not anything about you being new, not anything about the type of character you're playing. It's solely because you're female. You surely you don't have the best shit. Let me give it to you.
Years ago, like when I really got started getting out having the game, like I realized there was a lot more women playing the game, and I mean I still stayed the same, but I created a term for them for that situation, like you're saying, like not necessarily them as a person, but like the overall term of that, and it was the unicorn on the pedestal.
Yeah.
Because that's what all these guys did. They're like, oh my god, it's a girl gamer, and like you said, here's all the free shit. Do you have this? Do you have that? Let me put you in my backpack and carry you through this, get you levels. And the funny and sad thing at the same time was there was a lot of women on there that were playing that were very, very good at the game, but they were also very, very good at manipulating the system.
Yeah, you can go both ways. Yeah, you can go both ways with it. I think though, for Calamity though. When you go into the whole thing, okay, there's one aspect where you say, okay, it's a female gamer, but definitely from what I've seen in relation to, LGBTQ, I plus ampersand, you've got people that there's another aspect to relate to, to the point that there's always, along with the toxicity of gaming, there's derogatory remarks that come up constantly within gaming, regardless of gender. And I think that adds another layer to it. Do you feel that is the case, that it's just adding another layer to it? Or, I mean, I know toxicity is toxicity, but what are the ways or things that you feel that can combat that?
Oh, you kind of cut out for me. But I think
what are the ways or things that you feel that can combat that?
That can combat that? Well,
I mean, if anything, really.
I mean, for me, I don't, shall we say, come out to people until I feel like I have a good rapport with them, and then if at that point they feel like they can't be my friend or they don't want to game with me, I mean, that's fine. You've made a decision based on a bias that you have or something that I've said. Hopefully it wasn't based on, political belief, or that you're just so homophobic that you don't want to hang around me. Hopefully it's based on me that you just can't be around me. But I feel like it has been well received by most people, and if it hasn't been, they haven't told me. I haven't noticed anybody just drop off because they found out that I'm queer. That hasn't been a thing. But I also feel like I put in the work of trying to relate with people. I feel like I try to build rapport before that ever becomes even a topic.
Yeah,
I don't know if the guys here would agree with that, but I kind of throw that out to them. Do y'all feel that way about gaming?
I guess it's kind of hard for me to answer that because being a straight white guy, I've never been on the receiving end of anything.
Tell me about your diversity.
It's kind of limited. But no. Wait, go back. Straight white Canadian guy. Do it full justice. Do it full justice.
I'm so sorry about that. Let me apologize.
Yeah. I feel like there's a difference.
You're so vanilla. Why are you so vanilla?
It's more frozen vanilla. Stop.
Yeah, frozen vanilla.
You're froyo. You're froyo, bro.
But for me, it's someone's sexual orientation has no bearing on my decision on who they are in any context of my life. It's the quality of the person.
Right.
I don't care in the bedroom, knock your socks off. I won't bother
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Go for it. Have fun.
Yeah.
But like I said, that has no bearing on my decision on how I'm going to treat you. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole, and I'm going to treat
Yeah.
you as
Right.
such. You're a good person. I'm going to keep hanging out with you. We're going to have fun.
Right.
I think though, isn't that
Yeah.
an aspect of gamers that have been around since Zelda, since Tetris, since um,
You're
at
making
the
me feel
early.
old.
No, but hopefully I'll help you feel better about it. I think though
Oh,
when that
my knees hurt
little
too much for me to feel good about this.
right when that line I was telling you about where commerce came into play, and honestly I can just sum it up and say society came into play. That wasn't there when gaming was really about gamers and gaming was the thing that they were doing. It was more so, are you good at the game? Do you want to learn how to play the game? Can you contribute to the game, to the group that's playing the game? Now it's more of a, yeah, I want to play this game, but I only want to play this game if we're of the same religion or the same political affiliation or the same orientation.
It's
Uh,
so evolved, you know?
it's kind of evolved, but at the same time, it's kind of gotten all these extra
But if
shit.
I were to go, I'm only going to play with someone that fits this, and this criteria.
Hmm.
This is going to sound inappropriate. I'm only playing with myself because everybody I know has something different about them.
Hmm. Yeah,
So it
yeah,
just doesn't make sense to from my life experience to narrow it down to such a finite view.
right.
It's such a narrow view in the world, let alone gaming, because gaming is
And,
such a
Yeah.
small part of the world.
but I think that's for me. Like a lot of when I game, I don't interact with a lot of people because I just don't. Okay, can we do this thing together? Cool. If not, I'm good. I will solo game, and I kind of feel like that was the underlying awesomeness of Skyrim. Like you were in
Yes.
it and you didn't have to deal with any of the bullshit from other PCs. You just had a world
You
full of
fucking
it.
hermit? Jesus.
No, no, no. You had
Why
a
not?
no. You
When
had
you're
a
playing
world of
Skyrim, you're a fucking hermit. That's just how it's going to be.
yeah.
It's that game.
What's that?
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
that
you're playing
game.
the game
Skyrim?
was so
Yeah,
it was so in depth and there's so much to it that you didn't feel hermity. You felt
yeah.
like you were still in part of a community and still helping it, even though
But
That's
there's no
good.
other PCs on there.
right.
Because it can be isolating, right?
But with
It can.
Bethesda's previous games, with you had others in Elder Scrolls and whatnot, and they were all that way. It was a Skyrim's level was just way over the top in regards to the vastness of it. But then, like for me, like I stated in the previous in part one, I play pretty much solely now Elder Scrolls Online. The first person shooter I do is not. I do it, but it's not my only thing. But yeah, I will play that and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go on. I'm gonna do my thing, and then I'm out. If I want to do first person shooting, I play what I play Black Squad on Steam. But other than that, I'm just like, I don't want to be in this, that, or the other conversations. I don't want to chat. I don't want to do
I don't
anything.
fucking care. I'm just here
Yeah,
to kill
because
people.
there's so much prerequisites and criteria that you have to discuss, and it shouldn't be that way. And there's a lot of misconceptions with that, especially going back again with the way that women are portrayed in games. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I find that it can be very frustrating. I would assume it's very frustrating for other female gamers because the representation is so off. And that's why I was like, Calamity. But now that is something that is there and it's great, but you've found the positive about it because you've got this person that's basically caboosing your ass the whole time, and they're a nice bullet catcher, and that's awesome.
She's a smart cookie, that's for sure. I'll give you that.
Right.
She's brilliant.
But a lot of women have to turn that frown upside down in a way, because they have to, they can't get rid of players like that. We have to just learn to exist with players like that. Does that make sense?
Right. It's
Yeah,
really coping. You just take advantage of them, right?
I
Well, I'm
mean,
saying
he
like,
was taking advantage of me, so I was taking advantage of him
yeah,
in return.
yeah. I mean,
Right, exactly.
but I'm saying it's not even a thing of where you're looking for the means of taking advantage of somebody in order to exist in it. It's sort of like almost defeat us in a way, but it's one of those things where it's like it's nothing that I can do that will eliminate this person from the game, just like it's nothing that I can do to eliminate this person from the world outside of this game. You bring
Hmm.
in people's nature, like what Maniac was talking about. This is how they are. This is their behavior. This is who they are. Um, and the game just sort of amps it a little because it's this anonymity. I can act out in this character and not reap any of the repercussions in reality. Yeah.
I would say
And that
with that,
kind
like
of
what you're
ties
saying, like
into real life too.
I'm sorry. What?
Oh,
That
sorry.
kind of what, Calamity?
Let me just make this real quick point. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I was just going to say before I lose train of thought that I think it kind of ties into real life
Hmm.
where I didn't have a big self esteem at that point because
Hmm.
I wasn't great at the game. So I was just taking whoever would
Hmm.
play with me at the time and just running with it. Now I can
Hmm.
choose, do I want to be around an asshole or do I want to
Hmm.
choose great
Hmm.
people that have
Right.
great morals,
Oh,
that really have integrity in the game and wanting to add value to my life so I can add value to their life,
Hmm.
hopefully in a way
Hmm.
that makes it more enjoyable to play the game. At that
Right.
time my self-esteem wasn't, so I thought that I had choices of people to
Hmm.
play with, but now I do have choices, and these two guys are very good examples of quality people that I've been able to hang out with, and I really do enjoy that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
good job, babe.
Yeah. Yeah.
and to kind of go with that and follow up just real quick is like I think we we still we went from the lobbies of Call of Duty because
Hmm.
everybody that played in the beginning they remember what those lobbies were like.
God, so many angry
What were they like?
players.
Yeah, they were. It was ruthless. Like it was ruthless, and
I
it
lost
hasn't
track of how
necessarily
many
gotten.
12-year-olds
It
said to
hasn't
fuck my
gotten.
mom.
Yeah,
You what?
I'm
Oh,
not going to say it's gotten better, but it spawned a whole new generation of keyboard
Yeah.
warriors.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
That
course.
kind of goes along with like kind of what Calamity's saying. When that guy's like, "Oh, I just want to watch you walk." Your ass in
Hmm.
those fake pants on a cartoon.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people in gaming, like there's two different types of people. There's people that they live in the game to enjoy the game, and then they live in the game to be able to. They think they can say and do all these things that would not be deemed appropriate in a face to face conversation with
Right.
somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the issues that I think we have because I mean, like I've played plenty of games where like I get a lot of hate mail from
Hmm.
people like I either did something that they didn't like or I did something better than them and I'm like it's whatever, like I don't let
Congratulations.
any of that bother me, but you get these keyboard warriors that
Yeah.
just they think they can say whatever they want to say to you and it's okay, you take it with you're supposed to take it with a grain of salt, which is fine and you should
Hmm.
because at the end of the day I don't really
what
give
does
a
it
shit about
matter?
your opinion
Right.
because it's what it is, it's an opinion, just like
Hmm.
I wouldn't want you to think that my opinion is gospel. It's not.
Hmm.
It's an opinion. That's the whole point of an opinion, is just your point of view of it. But I think that's created a huge issue too, and I think that you know I don't believe in the fact that like if I meet like a female gamer that like if I give her a bunch of free shit then she's gonna do something for me. I'm giving free shit because like hey, I want to see somebody succeed. I want to see them get on my level. If it's a game I've been playing for a long period of time and I'm good at it, I want them to have the chance, and then it's reciprocation, back and forth, like hey, I helped you with this, can you help me with that, back and forth, because that's kind of how I was raised playing games.
Hmm.
When I was playing with my mom, if she couldn't figure something out, I would give it a shot and I'd try it, and then we'd
Right.
just hand the controller back and forth. And I think that there's a lot of players out there that just don't comprehend that idea, that ideology. They just, oh, it's a female gamer, she can't be good, or if she's good, whatever, blah blah blah. And they make up their own story on like what the rationale behind it is without even knowing any context in real life of what's happening.
Yeah.
So like I approach every player as the same. Like if you're good, you're good. If you're not, you're not. If you want to take it seriously and you want to get better, I will help you. I don't care if you're male or female or you're straight or you're not. I don't care about that because I judge someone on their character and how they react to me and they treat me. I'm gonna treat them with the same reciprocity. So if you're a shitbag to me, I'm gonna be a shitbag right back to you.
Yeah.
But within limits. I'm not gonna sit there and attack you personally because there's no point in that. I'm not gonna. What?
Can I just say that I really appreciate how much support you are all giving each other? Because it can be a miserable fucking experience if somebody's being a shitbag.
But I think that's the whole point of all this. Right. Like if you want to, negativity breeds negativity.
Exactly.
So I mean, if don't make something that someone loves, like playing a game, don't take that from them because that could be their last bastion of hope they have.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So why go on there?
Some people don't think about that, or don't care.
They don't.
And I think it says a lot that y'all do.
Like, I mean, like I've played with with Maniac and Calamity on Vigor, and they can both attest. I've had some really great days, and I've had some really shitty days.
Yeah,
of course.
We all have.
Like, and that's honestly, like, I'm not. I have my good days where like I'm on point, and everything I do is just is fire. But then I have more days that are just shitty. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I struggle bus and. The nice thing is
I'm driving. Okay, hello.
Yeah,
get aboard.
The nice thing is like they don't just walk off.
Yeah,
they don't just walk off from it. They're like, hey, it's fine. Next one, let's do this.
Because you're all decent people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think there are a lot of decent people out there like that, but I think they just get so foreshadowed by shitty people because negativity tends to just kind of it resonates in the front of your mind more than someone actually being a decent, humble person to you. Even in real life and in gaming, it doesn't matter. I mean, negativity is always going to set forth closer to your frontal lobe than anything else is because you're like, oh, it's opposition. Yeah. And I think that kind of correlates kind of like with what Clam was saying about, being able to feel comfortable enough to come out and, speak about your position, your orientation, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it.
When that's
I'm like, it's who you want to be. Be that person. Don't be disheartened by it because some asshole had something to say. Fuck them. That's their opinion. Like I move on. Like I've heard things my whole life. Like I grew up in a white family in a white town, and I'm brown. So. I've heard everything. Brown. I've been called every name under the sun, every slur, derogatory. But I was like, and it affected me for a long time. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't give a shit because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for myself, and I know who I am, and that correlates into me gaming because I've been in the middle of games and I've had people say things that are very colorful, and I'm like, you know what? It's fine. You're ignorant. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
It's like I would
move on. And if that person's on your ass. Walk away from them. You can block people nowadays on everything. So that's what I do. Like if someone I don't like the way they're talking, and I say, hey, let's not do that. Let's keep it, let's keep it reasonable. And they just want to spout off. Okay, cool. Block, done. Yeah. Moving on. It's a half a second of time, and it's not going to affect me any to just block somebody or mute them or whatever the case may be. Because they're ignorant,
I think I think there's a lot of things of what people do, and I tell people from time to time the same thing. If somebody can't outdo you in whatever it is that you're, the activity that you're doing, they resort to trying to mentally break you down instead. With derogatory remarks or calling out this, that, or the other about how you're not good. They can't outdo you. They can't, put up more points. They can't get as many kills. So I got to get at them some other way. And so that's usually the telltale of a weaker,
a little dick.
A weaker person, a weaker mindset, a weaker application of that. Okay, before we get to the next
That's
topic,
sorry, I slipped.
let's all go rainbow and pineapple.
Yeah, let's go rainbow.
Oh,
Do y'all
right.
need to go rainbow?
Sorry.
Oh no, you can go pineapple.
Sorry. I didn't say that in the beginning of the episode. So, typically in game terms, hey, let's take a bio break, and you can do your thing, whether it's to rainbow or pineapple, and we'll
I get it now.
You get it
There we
now?
go.
Okay,
Welcome to the
yeah.
Yeah, I
Now
was like, we're
you're
talking about some things. I'm like pineapple. I'm like, what? I was like, y'all switching
You're like,
now?
ooh, that
What's
sound
up?
good.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And now
Show
we're
me
going to
I'm
go into
hungry.
the culinary aspect of gaming. No, we're talking about the ones or twos. We'll take a short break.
Oh, okay.
It's binary.
Yeah, we'll take a short break and then we'll on other
Be
topics,
back.
and it's going to go towards that Ready Player One aspect that we've been touching on. Be right.
Okay, AFK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, you came back at a great time.
Yeah, dude.
All right, I'm back, so the party can start. What's up?
Yeah.
You just missed it.
No, I heard everything. I was
okay,
hearing
good.
everything.
So we're
Yeah, Maniac was talking about his physical presence,
Right.
his presence, and how much of a beast mode he is. That's
Right.
great.
like, hey,
I'm still not scared.
yeah, right.
I'll put it this way:
Me
with
neither.
airsoft, we'll call signs. When I listed off a few, my buddy goes, "You're going with Berserker,"
Hell yeah, I can see it.
so that's my call sign.
That's cool.
So where we left off, okay, we were talking about this is and that, and I wanted to go towards the Ready Player One hellscape that Dirty Hillbilly was describing. But before we get into that, we've got a little bit more baby steps before we get there, and this is going to tie together all the different things that we were talking about in regards to people playing games, the social acceptance or unacceptance playing games as well. I think that as gaming advances more, we get to where it can be applied in different ways. Some of those ways are being shown to be put into more therapeutic aspects of gaming, and the means in which people can really tap into, like what you and I were talking about, and in Maniac, and you and I being Dirty Hillbilly and I were talking about, and also Maniac and Calamity had echoed in the previous episode, where people play games for that enjoyment of being able to get away, relax, have fun, commune with different people that they enjoy sharing time with in some capacity or another. That helps sparks off all the good feelings that goes on in the brain and help people to have enjoyable lives. We get to a point where we start having more therapeutic aspects to it, where it can help people deal with relating in situations, cognitive development. Do you find that there are definite means of exploring this that can be helpful to people without it being fucking bastardized by the stuff that we were just talking about? Do you think that that's a really, really viable endeavor for therapy?
Are you talking about therapy
For
as
ther-
far as in gaming?
For therapy,
Get out of my head, bro. I'm not even playing with you because
what?
I've been
Did you
talking.
hear my intro? It was the whole thing. It led right into that.
No, I know that, but I'm just
saying.
We were just talking about this.
I'm just saying.
Kalam and I were just talking about this. Fucking hell, how do you do that? You live in my brain.
Well, it's called. Okay, fine. We were
Telekinesis?
Yeah, guys. God damn it!
Or you bugged my
I
house.
wasn't wanting to come out with that. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm omnipotent. Okay. So, in any case,
You've got cameras in here, don't you?
right.
He does. That's what I was going to say.
I like what?
He sent you something in the mail the other day, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
And then in that package
Right.
was
Son of a bitch.
listening
They did.
device.
Again?
They
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Great.
They did. Look, yo, we've seen your search history. Just join our team.
Not as
Just
bad as
join our team.
yours.
But yeah, I think that there is that aspect. I don't think that people have gone into it as full throttle as gaming as a whole. But for
I know,
therapy,
but I think there's such an industry there, right?
it is. It is. But I'm very wary in regards to the term industry because that
Well,
means
fair.
capitalizing. That means coming up with all these different things to make the buck off of
Well,
therapy.
But
when you're a
that's how
therapist,
things
you do
evolve,
want to make the buck off
unfortunately.
of.
Huh?
I'd kind of say, I don't know, like if you want to kind of put in a therapy aspect. I mean, this is kind of, it's on topic and kind of off topic. I mean, I think gaming as a whole, if it's not like something that's consuming your life as an over, bearing addiction, gaming itself is a bit of a therapy because it kind of allows you to step out of your role as who you are as a person in
Mhm.
real life and step into a different role
Fair.
and get an aspect of it.
Mhm.
And just to kind of like let loose and just relax and enjoy it and just do something that's not going to like, because I mean you do those actions in real life,
Mhm.
it doesn't work out,
Right.
but like
Right.
in a game
One
you have
time.
a do-over. But to kind of also go along with the whole like a therapeutic ideology behind it, I kind of also see like I have noticed a lot more in the recent years of games, like the choices that you have in the game
Mhm.
where you can play a morally straight character or
Mhm.
you can be evil, but then
Mhm.
they change they upstage that even more, and now you don't have to be straight in any of the senses,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
be, I've played some games where like you're a male character, you can pursue other male characters, or a
Right.
female character is a female character. But so I mean that I think is it's not necessarily a straight form of therapy, but it's like, hey, acceptance.
Yeah. I think that the
And
True.
avenues.
I think that is a subconscious therapeutic move because hey, wow, this character is kind of like me, and
Yeah.
you feel that correlation. I think that's great. And I know I don't remember the name of the game, but I was searching through stuff, and I actually found a game that was legitimately made for a person that was either blind or visually impaired.
Mhm.
And the game is completely dark and it's all done in audio.
Mhm. Much.
And
Much.
Oh
Much
wow.
like
I
our
was like, I
podcast.
didn't know nothing about it. I didn't try it because I mean, I can't see very well anyways. But I
Uh-huh.
mean, I tried. But I just wanted to read the reviews on it, and I mean, the reviews itself really made me happy to read
Mhm.
because like there was a guy on there, and it was a father, and
Mhm.
he said that his kid wanted to be included in all this gaming and couldn't, and then this game comes out
Mhm.
and totally just revolutionized
Right.
his child's way of thinking because they
That's
were able to.
amazing.
And I think that in its, not never, in hindsight, it is a form of therapy because therapy can be a form of acceptance.
Sure.
Like you're accepted in your actions, your ideology, whatever the case may be, however you want to look at it.
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of a neat concept that's something that's starting to happen more often. A lot of games you see have settings for people that are colorblind.
Mhm. Yep.
I think that's again, acceptance to me is kind
A
of
form of
is
therapy.
in its own little short way form of therapy because now you're able to relate even more to what you're trying to do because
Mhm.
it's more of a not necessarily a catering session, but like it allows you to engross yourself more into what you're doing and allows you to enjoy what you're doing more.
Yeah.
It's
If
about
that
that
makes sense.
oxytocin.
Yeah.
No, I can get that. I can get behind that somewhat because when you look at gaming from the, pre-computers or whatever, you had predominantly you had D&D, and they had the whole alignment categorization going on, and so people would play the game and oh, I got to figure out, am I more this, am I more that, and they would always reflect back to how they are as a person or how they want to be as a person in the game. That's literally
Agreed.
it was never very well, not never. It was very seldom in between where you were finding someone that's a little bit like you are and a little bit not. The crafty, evil kind of pinky to the mouth uh, character that you wanted to be. And then as games evolved, got on computers and whatnot, the means of which you could expound upon that got into, like you were saying, the ability where it was okay, now it's not just how you want to be. Now it's games are giving you the option when you're talking to an NPC. Do you want to tell them, or do you want to lie? And it will say, "Hey,
Yeah.
tell them a lie or tell the truth." In ESO, that's one of the options.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of times when you're playing, it's
Yep.
like, "Do you want to lie or do you want to tell the person the truth?" Then you get into some games where it's letting you, venture out into sexuality, venture out into other aspects of what you can more directly relate to yourself. There's
That's
those,
Yeah.
banana books for me.
but those are things that I think, to your point, can be therapeutic in the sense that it gives someone a playground, so to speak, of where they don't have to worry about the viewpoints of society within this realm, and they can. But the fine line there is their lives where somebody can want to be in this reality more, in that reality more, in the one that they're in. I think with a more classical approach of therapy is going along the lines of helping somebody work out things,
Like mental
from the
health therapy.
from the mental aspect of it,
There's a
helping
it would be
people
a great thing.
relate with different things. I honestly, because I'm not in that field, Calamity, I think you could speak a lot more on this, but I don't know how it could help people through different traumatic aspects. I guess it depends on what that trauma might be, but at least give them a place of where they're able to, um, slow things down or get them around different things that more or less helps them cope and deal with different things that can alleviate those triggering moments. I don't know, Calamity, have you seen where there has been more relatable therapeutic aspects of gaming that are really making strides to being a legit thing?
There's several different ways that people are trying to tackle that. There are some people that are using meta to do
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
like virtual meeting up at a park.
Mm-hmm.
You can virtually meet up at an office where somebody could create art on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing art therapy in a virtual setting. There are some therapists that are meeting up as D&D players.
Mm-hmm.
So you're playing the game, but you're also talking about in a group setting. Well, we're going to talk about this subject for tonight. So we'll go around the table and talk about it while we're gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually certifications that you can get for gaming as a therapist. So you're using either your own protocol or a special kind of program that is just for HIPAA compliant gaming situations where your privacy is paramount.
Mm.
Nobody can access it theoretically. You're probably on a VPN, you're probably very protected. But kind of like if you go to AA or NA or you go to a group setting,
Mm-hmm.
just for a regular face-to-face session, people can talk when they leave. People can still share your information. So
Right.
again, you're limited to the credibility of the people that are in the group. But there's a lot of ways that people are trying to make it mainstream for gamers who really don't feel comfortable just going to a regular session. They want to have it surrounded by something that they're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gaming is a really good platform for people that are shy. So, somebody can open up a little bit more if they're playing a game, and then over time you build that rapport with them just like a therapist would in a regular, meeting a new client for the first time. You got to build that rapport with them. It's the setting is different.
For sure. And the interesting thing is when I'm doing an intake with somebody, if I hear that they enjoy gaming as a hobby, I'll say, yeah, well, what kind of games do you enjoy? And when they find out that I'm a gamer or I sometimes stream, that seems to really break down some of those resistances that they may have had in the beginning. That nervousness seems to fall away, or that that rapport gets built a little faster because they're like, oh, for real? You do that too? That's really cool. So it just gives you an immediate in with someone that maybe you would have had a very hard time relating with in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
I mean, to kind of touch on that, just for like a quick, just personal, like aspect of it. Like, I mean, I've played this. I was never really big on multiplayer games until like I really started playing them and getting to kind of know people. And I have found over the years playing some of these games I've played, like I've met some like younger kids. You know, not necessarily like super young, but like, you know, mid teens. I remember this one guy, and we were playing, like he'd been through a lot of trouble, a lot of trials and tribulations like that, and we just started kind of gaming and talking and just shooting the breeze, and then he started kind of opening up more and more, telling me about more things that were going on, and then he just kind of one day was like, hey, you know, what's your advice on this? You know, he's like, you seem like a pretty well grounded person and you have a good mentality of things, and we kind of got to talking, and I mean, it was kind of a therapy session, but like we were just gaming, having fun, and like he was going through some serious shit in his life.
Right.
You know, he'd been in trouble, and I feel like I helped him kind of steer away from a path that would have taken him somewhere he didn't need to go. Not saying that I was like, you know, the savior of the world or anything like that, but like it was kind of a nice feeling because like he wanted to genuinely ask me some questions and like how I would, you know, be through the, you know, how I would deal with this, how I deal with that, and some of my own personal things that I dealt with and like how I got through things. And it's kind of a cool feeling when you can actually meet somebody sort of like that, but like find that common ground. That's not just the gaming aspect of it, because gaming it's fairly simple to meet someone on that, but it's more of the when it becomes somewhat personalized and like you feel like you can help somebody and in turn they're helping you. And I think that's kind of saved a lot of people in the long run, because you know some people, they felt like they didn't have anybody, they were all alone, and you know you don't know if that hey how you doing today was the saving words for the day.
Yeah.
You know, that person could have been at that last point in their life where like, you know what, I'm done, I'm gonna just hit the delete button and that's that.
Right. Yeah. No.
And I don't want to personally technically know if I was able to affect somebody to keep them from doing that. I mean, if I find out, that's awesome, it's great, I feel great about it. But like, I just want to treat people with the way I'd want to be treated. And if I was having issues and I'm playing with somebody and I can kind of confide in them and I can see them as a confidant, as a leadership role of a person, not just in the game itself I'm playing, but as in just human interaction. I think it's a good concept, and in a way it's kind of therapeutic because you're kind of playing the therapist without being a therapist. You're kind of doing a ring around the rosy situation, but you're creating goodness out of the situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it would probably be more. Well, and maybe I'm wrong, Clem. You can tell me, but I think that the therapeutic side of it would be more efficient if it were for children or people that are still developing. Because especially these days, I mean, you've got kids that just all they want to do is game. And that's it's a soothing for them, you know, for whatever reason. Hopefully it's soothing for them in some way. And it's not just like rage all the time. If that is, then obviously that's a problem. So maybe gaming therapy wouldn't be the best idea for them. But, you know, there are going to be kiddos out there that would respond to it and be able to open up because they are socially awkward because they've been playing games their whole lives. They haven't actually talked to people like in front of each other. You know, they wouldn't know what to do with it.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, 4 years ago, we went through a collective trauma when COVID happened, and a lot of our kids really suffered from that. They lost a lot of development during that time. And so, yes, of course, gaming is something that is a real big motivator for most kids. And I'm always surprised, though, how many clients I even have right now that are active gamers. And it is a big stress reliever. It's a big way to disengage from the world that seems to just be trying to destroy us right now. I mean, there's so many levels of heartache that we're all collectively experiencing, right? With inflation and with so many stressors that we have. So for me personally, it's a therapy for me too, right? And so when clients say, well, what are you going to do this weekend to try to de-stress? Well, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to blow some stuff up on a game.
Sweet. Let's go,
for
bitch.
real.
I
And I'm
think
like,
it's
yes.
also what game you're playing. Because I kind of speak from a personal aspect as a first responder, that if we've had a call that went absolutely sideways, but I know, like, the crew that I roll with, it's a small department, but I know everybody that shows up, we do our best, we do everything we can within our power, but it doesn't matter how much effort you put into it. If the person's not going to make it, they're not going to make it.
Right.
And again, you put everything into it, you know you did, but you still feel like you lost. I can come home, I can turn on my Xbox. I'm probably not going to play a first person shooter, but I'll put in something that gives me such a creative aspect that it helps bring me back. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So that is a great segue into a question that I have, and that is, do y'all think that gaming will? I know that there's simulations, right? But now that we've got all the graphics and stuff with gaming, those games, quote unquote, can be simulations, obviously. So, do you think that it would be a good way to help train people in either a job or because I know the military has simulations, right?
So does
And
law
they do it for a
enforcement too.
reason because they work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What was that?
I was going to say, I know several different factors that are used by law enforcement for training as well with simulation sets.
Yeah, I think. Do you think that there's room to grow, and do you think that it will?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
of course. I mean, look at some of the simulation games that we have now. They're becoming more realistic, like farming simulators, mowing, pressure washing, cooking, running a gas station.
True. Yeah.
They're out there. I mean, the games are becoming more and more realistic in ideology, and not just first person shooters or fantasy or puzzles. It's actually becoming a teaching. I mean, like, look at what Skyrim did. I mean, they started teaching some of Norse mythology using that game in colleges. I mean, the ideas are there, the aspects are there, and I think that as we progress on with the games, that they are becoming more realistic, but they're being used as an educational purpose as well as an entertainment purpose.
Like
So
a
I mean, I do.
survival game that teaches you how to homestead, or
There
you
are. I
know,
mean, look, we grew up on Oregon Trail.
Oh, yeah.
that is
If
true.
you sit there and
I
actually
mean,
like break that game down, as much as it was a fun game, like there was a lot of realistic aspects to what was happening. I mean, you really had to think about, what was more important, having a lot of money in your pocket or being able to, shoot an animal and be able to harvest it and feed your family. How to boil water so you didn't get dysentery. I mean, it was there. It just was subconscious, and now I think with what we have now with technology, we
Right.
can do more of it, and we can use it as a teaching tool, not just a leisure tool.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No, that's a good term, that the leisure tool of it. Um, so there's definitely room. I feel like there's definitely room. I think that it's getting all the bits together. I think as gamers, we've seen these bits, like I said, from Oregon Trail all the way to other things where you can get like small little dedicated chat rooms. We've seen memes where there are bits that if we can cobble them all together to make a solid uh, game that can address uh, and be utilized for therapy. I think it's available. I think it's out there. I think though it's still untouched in a sense.
yeah.
Bef-
I think it's a great industry to, or not, I say industry.
yeah,
It's a great sector of therapy to get into. I
I
feel,
think it is.
because I think it's going to just
I
grow.
think it is. I think though therapy is such a moving target, so to speak. that
That's true.
it's like, okay, there's MMOs, you kind of know what you're getting into with that. There's first person shooters, you kind of know what you're getting into with that. You don't even have to see the game, you just kind of know the aspect of play in that. A therapy game, it's like, it's so many. Okay, what trauma? Good luck trying to narrow that down. And so, trying to find things in that can be the tools that a therapist can use with within the realm of a game that can address to the different levels and the different types and the different experiences of trauma. That's what I mean by it's a moving target, because it's not the same. We've got it all figured out like we do with MMOs and
Right.
RPGs and first person shooters. So I think there's still room for them to really do well with it. Can it work? I feel like it can. I just
Do you think it could work, Kalam?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of an
I think as long
interesting
as you get the
concept.
privacy thing done, right?
Yeah, that's always the main problem is
Mhm,
making sure that it's compliant.
mhm. Yeah, I think that's there, but it's one that they really got to do the utmost in being right with it, because there's so much room for abuse.
Hmm.
Because you've got personal records, medical records, different exposure. So you've got to really trust not just the tool, the gaming tool, but the therapist as well, to make sure that this shit is used properly. We
Absolutely.
get though to where we have the means of where we can really, oh man, we can have like all the cooking and the pressure washing and the well jobs that people are having within a game. So now you get to the
Oh wow, good
you
job.
get
Damn.
into the Ready Player One aspect, where you get to something that is you're totally immersed in this game now. And we're there, like I said, a lot of gaming is all about pieces. I worked on a project with I'll just say a telecommunications company that they developed their own world, um, and they didn't release it to the public. And so I was helping them on how to go about doing it. And it's one guy, he was really into gaming, so he was using a lot of the user interfaces that was inspired by one of the games that I was very familiar with at the time. That was used and that was developed solely for them to have their employees immerse into it to train. So it was cutting out all the classroom, cutting out all the books and other materials that people were using to train, and now it was all digital and within this closed world environment that they created for their employees. We get to a point where we're able to do that for society, whether it's with VR, whether it's with, I think we've got all the the bits that we can cobble together, whether it's Bitcoin and other digital currencies, um, the mapping of entire continents, and now you can use that to get digital real estate, developing buildings, developing apartments. People start renting out those apartments and those homes, a la Sims, but on a bigger scale. Do we get to where we are now developing a reality within a reality and people can choose which one they want to interact with?
Oh,
Yeah, I know. I saved the dump truck for last. Sorry.
so that ties into the whole apartment building with a built-in
Well, it
setup
ties into
that comes with
everything
it.
we've been talking about.
Right. Oh,
Because
yeah, that's right. You said it was going to do that.
because we've talked about everything in regards to gaming, but if we get to the point of like what we were saying, and that's why I said let's take some steps back from the Ready Player One. We get to the point where we're there now, and everybody's fully immersed. Your food is coming to you by way of you buying it through your avatar. You're purchasing it with your cryptocurrency. You're monitoring that by way of the display that shows you what's in your account. Now, how you ingest that food, I haven't thought it that far, but I hope somebody's opening their mouth and is going into their physical body. Otherwise, they're screwed.
You're not just like a brain in a jar somewhere.
Yeah, otherwise they're screwed. But it gets to a point where, what if you are a brain in a jar? You wouldn't know the difference because you're too caught up in your virtual world. But you have to believe that other corporations are going to have their Cokes and their Wendy's and their other advertisement that goes in, and you're interacting as well. You already have that with different fashion designers doing different avatar skins for games as well. Do you think that we get to this point? People are really making a hard decision on
I can see it. I could see it happening.
Whether they are going to be in what we consider a physical reality for their virtual, or whether they want to be in a virtual and say fuck it to the physical, which is kind of hard to do because you still need to sustain yourself in order to play. It's like a catch 22. I gotta sustain this physical that I really don't care about, so I can stay in the virtual.
That's depressing.
Do you think that that's just inevitable, or do you feel like we have the means of where we have to keep a distinction between the two?
I think there will always be a distinction between the two.
I mean, that's
just for its nature.
That's what you're saying obviously. Right now. But
unless you are a brain in a jar, guys, I mean, what do y'all think?
I mean, have you seen somebody wear a Meta headset? They're doing all the hand motions right now.
Everybody's like, gone.
It's a lot to process and try to come up with a coherent answer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no answer. It's just more discussion. It's like, do you feel like we're like it's going to be harder?
I was going to say at this point, I think there's an easy distinction, but as hardware and software and biomechanics advance,
yikes!
It is going to be harder and harder to distinct. There's going to be some people. There's always going to be people that are going to be against it. There's going to be your anti-tech people, your traditionalists. Oh hell, we can even go with Mennonites and I'm absolutely blanking on
Amish and Mennonites.
Amish.
I don't know why I had a hard time with that one.
I appreciate you brought up Mennonites.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, there's a Mennonite community just down the road from me. So
say hello to them for me. Say hello to them.
Farm fresh eggs.
Yeah. Well, actually, I can get those from my brother. He homesteads. So.
Yeah.
He's in this
farm fresh butt nuggets.
We have to have your brother on for our homestead episode then.
Homesteading episode. Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
That's a hard maybe.
Okay, you are the better judgment of that.
I will talk to him about that, but I mean, that's also something I'm looking at doing in the next couple of years as well.
Perfect.
See, so
we're going to have you on for that too.
You're on.
Amazing.
Anyway, like I said, tech and everything, it's right now it's an easy distinction, but later on it's going to be more and more difficult, and you're going to have people that will jump into that head first. They were the same ones that a few years ago that got the first subdural RFID implants. So now their entire
what
life
is actual shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So there's people that got it. So now I've got access to my place of work, or they're having it updated, so now it's access to their bank accounts, their social insurance, their health card, everything.
Oof.
Yeah.
So I'm personally initially weary of the first and sometimes second gen of a new technology because there's always bugs.
Right.
But once a lot of those are worked out, I'm more likely to hop on board with it. I just want to see a lot of the things get worked out, and there's a lot of people like, ooh, choose me for that. Knock your socks off, but
like, say for instance, this example, Dinosaur, you get to, like, right now, I don't know. So we just got out of the writer's guild strike, maybe what, 6 months ago, 6 months ago. The absolute ape shitness that should be going on in that in that community is just like, it's nuts because everyone's now realizing those contracts that they signed to be able to use their likeness is not some it's not someone doing a sketch of them, or it's not someone no, it's a fucking AI now that's got your likeness, and we can do all the movies that we
Right.
want um, of you in this age. We don't, and if we want you older, we can just tell the AI, hey, put 20 years on that person, and we got your voice, so whatever. And take
Well, and it's going to run amok until legal gets a hold of it,
well, no,
right?
fuck legal. You signed the contract.
Oh, fair.
So
Damn it.
so go take your $18 million request and go sit on the toilet.
Enjoy being a porn
Yeah,
star for the rest of
go
your life
go
because
sit.
we're fixing to run you
Oh,
hard.
no, wait. No, you can't go to porn either because we got that sewn up too. We've already started that. We already have it.
That's what I'm saying. If you can tell them to do anything, I
Right.
mean,
But
if sex sells,
right, but
you're
but
fucked.
what I'm saying is, even in the adult industry, it's looking very hard at itself in the mirror, like, yo, we might have just completely fucked up. So people in the entertainment across the board, or even sports, are looking at it like, if this AI thing catches on to the level in which it is, which okay, every fucking day is beyond the level that you knew of it,
Right.
then what now people are looking at their occupations in regards to technology being to where, okay, I need to really think of something else to do because this is now absolutely knuckin' futz. I can't do anything else because this thing is producing more scripts than I can write, and it's going to sell because it's cheap as hell, because this thing, all you got to do is hit and enter with the right prompt and it'll do it for you. So like,
Right.
who, I forgot, somebody was building they were building their they were building a studio, and then there's like, hey, stop, because Sora is about to come out, and if Sora comes out, all of this is for naught. But I don't need a studio anymore. I can just run it off of that and it'll produce all the movies I want. So to what Maniac's talking about, I think it's kind of easy for us to say that now. And like what you were saying earlier, Dennis, it's easier for us to say, yeah, we can get that distinction, sure. But if you've got people using meta goggles now and doing and operating things with hand gestures while in the physical reality that we know of, they're experiencing things on a more digital reality, a virtual reality. That's like the training wheels taking you into that. Well, the only thing that's missing, it's the same thing I say about AI. AI is fucking phenomenal and it's out there. The only thing that's missing, that's going to be scaring people to a diuretic coma, is when it gets a body.
Yep.
Because AI is AI.
iRobot.
Yeah, AI is AI. I
I've
mean,
seen Terminator movies. I know where that goes.
right, but
Skynet.
exactly,
Robot
people jump
uprising.
to those conclusions right there because that's when it becomes scary. But people don't realize that how fucking scary it is when you can't have something tangible. Like, it's great when it's a Terminator because that's something you can shoot, but AI flying from one server to the other, AI being the thing on the phone talking to you saying, hey, yeah, we're looking at your account right now. We can go ahead and transfer those funds for you right now. Okay, thanks, Becky. And Becky is just a fucking voice. You don't see, like, hey, I was just talking, you call that number. I was just talking to Becky. Becky's not here now, but Samuel is. Hi, maybe I can help you. And it's like, fuck. Okay, cool. That was quick. So AI has been around for every time you use spell check, for every time you ask the direction. Again, it's bits, it's these little parts that once put in a hole, that's where it gets scary. So you get a human form, that's where people lose their mind. We get to that part. Are we going to care?
I mean,
The question is, are we going to be around at that time?
That's
Yeah,
what I was
well,
thinking.
there's that too, right?
But it's a massive progression of technology. If you watch it at a scale, we're going at an exponential rate.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
There is a distinct possibility that within our lifetime, or at least my kid's lifetime, that we will see things like that.
Yeah.
That there will be like neural implants
Yeah,
that
neural
will
implants are already out there. The one person that's using Elon's has been, I think they just celebrated a year.
something like that. Like
I think they
that's
just celebrated a year.
like I remember
I
as a
mean,
kid, stuff like that was in science. It was make believe. It was
hmm hmm
it was in Star Trek and Star Wars, and now
It
it's
was Hollywood.
yeah,
Well, look at like on that topic, like look at that movie In Time.
hmm
Oh yeah.
Like you had to basically
yeah,
buy
right, right.
minutes to keep yourself alive,
Yeah,
and like anything you did
yeah,
cost minutes off your
yeah.
life. I mean, the Hollywood is becoming real.
Oh,
yeah.
well, I think
That's terrifying in itself.
I've always thought it's like, hey, so we're gonna make an industry where we can sort of slow feed everybody the shit that's
Yep.
really coming down the pike, but we make it
Yep.
entertainment enough that they can walk away and go, wasn't that a cool effect? But really is like, yeah, that's really gonna be the shit. Watch. As a movie out that
Well, it's like
I stumbled upon this movie and it was really not getting any hype. And I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Now it's getting a second or third run on Netflix. It's called Upgrade. That right there will make you just like say, you know what? I'm just going to lay on the floor. Go ahead, take me.
I can't because I done watched Mr. Robot and that blew my fucking brain
Yeah,
off.
Mr. Robot is good too. But Upgrade is really up there. Where it's like where somebody uses tech to get, to have the ability to be able to do things that they used to be able to do. They're handicapped and now they're able to do things. It's like, oh, this is awesome. But again, if you're provided something free, you're the product. And
yeah.
they learn the hard way that it is. Great movie, great action scenes and all that kind of shit. But the message behind it, like of where AI is going and where things are developing in regards to tech, and how they bleed over each other in regards to gaming versus reality and the whole aspects of that. It's very well done. I feel like though
I mean,
we just don't we're seeing the transition.
yeah. Like you said, that's a perfect way of the perfect segue of it all is let's show you all this weird stuff on TV that that's an interesting concept, but in reality that's already been being worked on. I mean, and like it's not impossibilities anymore. Like you said. I mean, I haven't seen Upgraded, but I can believe it. But you watch movies like iRobot or Altered Carbon was another one too.
Yeah.
Where, like, I mean, that made so much sense with our soldiers, our military. Like why not take the mentality behind something? Like, I mean, they've already figured out how to there's already scientists to figure out how to take a human brain out of one body and put it in another one.
Yeah.
And make it function properly. I mean, so it's there, like the science, this sci-fi of it all. It seems, it's a neat concept. I'm like, but it's being worked on. But like you said, if we just spoon feed them it through movies and television and so on and so forth, it's not going to be, once it's been implemented correctly,
it won't be that big of a deal.
You're not surprised by it because it's not necessarily that you just aren't going to be surprised. You just don't expect it because, well, you've just spent the last 10 years, your best friend, you find out later on that they're a fucking clone or they're an android. You had no idea because all these years of all the research they've been doing, it's just been emulated in, and then you have no concept behind what's happening. And you're like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to accept it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I think Black Mirror is like the pinnacle of slow feeding. It's the best slow feeding. It's like, I love this. And it's like, wait a minute, that is
what is it? Black Mirror?
Yeah, Black Mirror is a series, and it touches on Black Mirror is pretty much Twilight Zone cranked up really, really well with technology, and it talks about a lot of different topics that you will find throughout the world that actually are in play right now. And it just shows like, hey, if we crank that up, to where it's going, this is how society will end up. Like with the social credit score, that's like that's really really bizarre. But they're running the hell out of it in China right now, and I know,
The social credit score? What the fuck is
yeah,
that?
well, that's where technology is going, where they can scan you and say, hey,
Oh,
no,
Jesus.
you don't need no coffee for you. Get your bills correct. Well, I and and people will be listening to this episode and saying, how the fuck does this relate to gaming? I think though, like we were saying in the
It's
beginning,
technology.
there's a lot of different things that are at play with gaming that ends up bleeding over into social settings that we have where people just don't really know that's where it's going until they see a show like Peripheral and they realize like there's a lot of different things that can be done with the military if they apply techniques that are very similar to that. And like what Hillbilly is saying, you see it and you're like, well, wait, maybe that is at play. Haptic research and in play with that. So,
Well, this is terrifying. I'll be wearing a foil
oh
helmet to bed.
yeah. It's too late to.
They figured out how to bypass that. It's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's too late to run and hide at this particular point.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm going to start sleeping in a Faraday bag.
We're in too deep now.
Yeah,
we're in too deep.
If your phone is on, it's too late to hide.
On that note, great episode.
Oh yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you all for joining us. It was
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting us.
Oh yeah. Calamity,
Yes, sir.
did you say you were being the utmost for this episode and gaming while on the episode at the same time?
That is correct. I was actually
Okay.
playing Fallout and
Okay.
playing a fishing game.
I thought you were multitasking.
Okay.
No wonder you were
No,
so
that's perfect.
quiet.
And that's what it's all about. You don't get on a gaming episode and not game.
Exactly.
That's
That was
what it's
very
supposed to be.
appropriate.
But thank you all. Really appreciate it. Really thanks for contributing. Just to make sure that everybody knows. Pulling it up right now of everybody that contributed to the forum. It shows that 100% of us love playing first-person shooters. 67% MMOs in strategy, so that's pretty cool. And
I play games on my phone. Is that
yeah,
not optional? Okay.
66% plays on the phone, and
I think I missed that form. I never got a form to fill out.
yeah, it was on the initial email. It was on the initial email.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But it's interesting how everybody's like split across in regards to the most misrepresented player is women, disabled, and the true 95 gamer. And so most stereotyped were they feel like ethnicities are the most stereotyped. 66% saying they feel like ethnicities are the most stereotyped in games, and I can understand that, especially when you look at GTA and other things like that. It's like, okay, there's definitely some stereotyping. Everybody 100%. That's kind of telling. 100% agree that there's still discrimination in games as well. So,
well, it's pigeonholing.
Yeah,
it's what it is. It's pigeonholing. They want to have the concept of like, okay, so this ethnicity, this is what they're, quote unquote, known for, and then so on and so forth. And I think that's kind of a silly concept because I mean, there's so many good games out there that you can pick other ethnicities, and it has nothing to do with, a social aspect of who they are as a person.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely correct. Well,
yeah, this has been interesting for sure. I've loved it.
if we squeeze a part 3 out of it, we'll be sure to get everybody to in on it. We want to see what the feedback we get from this episode is, as always. But
Yeah, and
definitely,
we'll do a
definitely.
pre-test to make sure everybody
Well,
that's can connect in
so
Yeah.
beforehand.
so hang on just a moment. Okay, we're gonna do the outro, and then after that, just hang on because I want to give the information that I was saying, or I can email it to you guys in regards to testing if you want to. If you want to me to tell it to you or email it to you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't trust yourself.
Email so then I can go back and try and find it because
Yeah.
as tech savvy as I am, I'm not tech savvy.
Okay. Cool. I'll just email it to you guys. I only used 2, but they pretty much get in touch every time a game comes out and say, hey, you want to contribute to it or not? And so
Yeah.
it leaves the door open. Once you're in. So yeah.
Cool.
But okay. Thanks everybody. Really appreciate your time. Go continue gaming. I know I will. I'll probably pop on one before I hit the sack for sure. I don't know which one. It'll either be ESO or Black Squad. Probably be Black Squad because I just want to shoot some things right now. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, grenades away. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. And if you are listening, you're trying to figure it out. This is the Dinosaur and the Dude, and she's the dinosaur.
That's me.
And I'm the fucking dude. And you guys are wonderful. Please, please, please remember, we love you.
Love yourself.
And, love yourself. Love yourself. That's
Important.
we love you. It's
really hard with lotion.
It is fucking important. And
or coconut oil or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
You matter. Fuck yeah, you do.
And you know who else matters? All of the dudes, dudettes, lady boys, and lady girls,
girl ladies,
motherfuckers and fatherfuckers, and
jiggahos
and giggalos. So thanks everybody.
All right,
and
that's a wrap.
Love you,
Good job,
lady.
guys. Love you too.
Right.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, y'all. Bye.
Okay, bye, guys. Thank you again.
Indeed.